They attend St. Vincent de Paul Catholic High School. The Macia sisters take their singing lessons from a very talented Lauren Gasparini at Murphy's Music School in Niagara Falls. Did I get that right?
High school. High school.
What did I say? High school? That was a mistake. They're in the advanced program. They jumped ahead a few years. Very smart. But no, at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Elementary School. I'm sorry for that. In addition to singing, the girls have been taking violin and piano lessons with George Cleland and Tina Bymont from Murphy's Music since they were 4 years of age. Milana and Ivana have also a love for dance. They take competitive hip-hop from Miss Kathy's dance studio in Niagara Falls. Are you going to dance after you sing? No? Okay. At school, Milana was recently chosen as Rafiki in the Lion King school musical taking place this year at her school, at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic School. During their free time, I don't know when you have that, the Macia sisters love hanging out with their friends, going to the movies, and enjoy going for long walks with their mom and their dad. The girls love entertaining for their family, their friends, and they believe that music always makes people smile and extremely happy. So, ladies, welcome to Niagara Falls Council, and whenever you're ready, you can sing "O Canada."
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in our son's command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, girls. We appreciate it. You did a great job. I know Mom and Dad are very proud. Thank you. It's cute, eh? Okay, our first order of business, councillors, are the adoption of the minutes from the May 10th meeting. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Carrio. If there's no discussion of the minutes, all those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. Thank you. Now, disclosures of a pecuniary interest. Do we have any disclosures? Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, Your Worship, Niagara Catholic District School Board, my employer, there's a refund check there. I don't know what it's for.
Okay, that's noted. Councillor Pietrangelo. Any other disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councillor Crater.
Thank you, Worship. Just one item, check number 394412. The check is payable to myself.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, I have a conflict with AM 2016-007 under planning.
Okay. Any other, Councillor Iononi?
This is terrible with the glasses. Check 395045 made out to a member of my family.
Okay. Hey, do we have any other disclosures of council? Okay. Then for myself, check numbers, I have three here. 394030, 394823, and 394951. Checks made out to myself as well. Okay, if we have no further disclosures of a pecuniary interest, move on to the presentation deputation portion of our council meeting. And first up is the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. And I understand that we have Natalie Janvary and Safar Hilani, co-chairs of the committee, giving us an overview of the 2015-2016 school year. So welcome to the microphones. You might have to bend them upwards a little bit. I'm not sure. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Check. You guys want to sing a song?
Maybe a dance.
No, kid.
All right. So, hello everyone. I'm Natalie Janbury. I'm a grade 12 student at A.N. Meyer.
I'm Safar, grade 12 at St. Michael.
The mandate for the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee is that we provide a voice for the youth in Niagara Falls while advising council on important issues concerning the city's younger population. We also are in charge of encouraging facilities and programs that will enhance the quality of life, health, and well-being for the youth in our community.
So basically, every year, MIAC sort of structures itself into 3 separate subcommittees. So this year, once again, we went with a committee that focuses on the youth voice, one that focuses on giving back to the community, and then one that plans just for fun events for youth in our city.
So at the beginning of the year, we have a leadership day with our full committee in about early October. This year, we had it here at council, or in at City Hall, and we got to know each other. We planned what we wanted to do for the year, and also to start us off, we took part in planting daffodils at the opening of the Millennium Trail, and we went back and checked out all the flowers, and it was very, we came together as a committee, and it was nice to see that.
So this year, we presented the Youth Volunteer of the Year Award, and we gave it to Mitchell Gilmore this year. He volunteers with the Stamford Volunteer Firefighters. And yeah, it was a fun night at Club Italia. We got out, recognized some youth in our community.
We also took part in the Bowl for Kids' Sake event hosted by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Niagara. It was a great night. We had different teams go out and we raised a bunch of money, and it was all for a great cause, and we love to do that and hope to do it again next year.
So this year, once again, MIAC was part of the Niagara Falls Santa Claus Parade. We helped out with the parade, held some banners up, walked. It was a fun day. Yeah.
We also helped out again at the Niagara Falls Community Outreach Kitchen. We spent the night helping out serving food and then cleaning dishes, and then some of us even got on the piano and played a little music for everyone, and it was just a wonderful night, and we're happy that we continue to do that every year.
And then, as we do every year, this year we helped up with our community clean sweep, and that's at Oaks Park. So a few of us went out and we just picked up trash around, helped maintain the environment there, walk down the street. It was a great day.
And we'd like to call up Luka Vujic for his Rotary Adventures in Citizenship.
Hello. So I was sent as my ex-rep for the Rotary Adventure and Citizenship program. It was an amazing program. I learned a lot about our country that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. I got to meet a lot of great people. It was just a great experience overall, and I hope that Maya continues to do this.
What school? What school do you go to?
A.N. Meyer.
Meyer. So now we've got Meyer, St. Mike's, and Meyer. Okay.
And now we'd like to call up Emily Misk and Marcella Madalena. No.
Lauren George.
Lauren George and Emily Hunter.
Hi there, my name is Lauren George and I go to A.N. Meyer.
And I'm Emily Hunter. I am grade 11 and I go to St. Mike's.
So we are this year's co-chairs for the Youth Voice Subcommittee of MIAC. So one of the things we do every year, this is our third annual coming this October, is the Niagara Student Summit. So this is where about 350 students from across the region have the opportunity to go to Brock and take part in workshops focused around skills beyond the classroom learning. So some of the workshops that they were able to take part in include self-defense, study skills, time management, and different things like that. And then this coming October, we're hosting our third annual one. And those are some of our session topics.
Okay, so just this April that just passed, we had our, I believe it was our second youth forum in our most recent years. So what it is we had a about 100 high school students to come out to Heartland Forest for a day of gathering input. So I know Natalie was talking about it before. Part of our mandate is to be a voice for youth and provide them with an opportunity to speak out. So we had several topics like employment, health and wellness, living in Niagara Falls, recreation and culture, transportation, and enhanced education. So we had mini groups where students were allowed to gather around, all students from different schools, and they were able to provide their input about different various aspects about the city regarding youth. And then we're able to take that information and tailor our events to suit their needs, just according to what they're most interested in. And then you can see in that photo, we also had a counselor countdown. So we had a few regional counselors come out and they answered questions for us, and we had lots of fun doing that. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the youth forum was a lot of fun, especially with that timer. I recall some of you guys were there, and we had to cut off people as they were speaking. So I'd like to call up Emily Misk and Marcello Maddalena.
And Charmy Shaw.
And Charmy Shaw.
Mention your school, if you don't mind, when you arrive.
So I go to St. Paul Catholic High School.
I go to St. Michael's.
I go to West Lanes.
Okay, so our first event is our Red Roof Christmas Party, and it takes place at Red Roof Retreat in St. Catharines. Now, this is a retreat for people with disabilities. So what we do when we go, we usually do this once a year, and we help make crafts, we bowl, as you see in the pictures. We also bring little snacks. We made cookies this year, we help the kids decorate them. And it's basically just a good time for us to like give back during the Christmas season, and for these kids just to like have a little fun, get in the spirit.
So another event that we held, we went out to Pelham for wheelchair basketball, which was held at E.L. Crosley. And basically, we played wheelchair basketball against children with disabilities, and it was actually pretty fun. And we ended up losing. So.
By a lot.
In May, we held Fright Night, where basically we displayed the movie When a Stranger Calls, and it was on Friday the 13th, so it fit the theme. And before the movie started, we all had short clips from each of the high schools in DSBN that promoted mental health awareness. And then we also were collecting donations all throughout the night that supported the Niagara Suicide Prevention Coalition in Niagara Falls. And altogether, we're donating $250.
We've had a few Fright Nights here at City Council, too. Yeah. Thank you for that.
And then I'd just like to call Luca to come up and talk to me about, or with me, about Just for Fun. So again, I'm from Meyer.
I'm also from Meyer.
We were co-chairs for the Just for Fun committee this year. This year we held a youth skating night at the Gale Center. We do this every year, but this year we wanted to switch it up and invite grade 7 and 8 students from the elementary schools in the area, just so we can get the word of MIAC out to the younger students. And we had a great turnout. A lot of kids came out. We had music playing, and then we got to talk about MIAC a little bit. So now the word's out there and they know what we're all about.
Not to mention that we did end up raising a lot of food for Project Share, which was great. Our next event was Schoolapalooza. As you can see, Meyer won this year.
Holy.
And we were really happy.
Sorry, the CAO went to Stanford, and sometimes he gets a little bit sensitive when Meyer does well. Sorry about that.
We spent a lot of time planning, but it was a great event. We had a great turnout. There was a lot of people there, and they were really showing their spirit. So all in all, we were very happy.
Well done.
We just wanted to, before we go, thank all of our sponsors and supporters, and also thank Council for just letting us have all these experiences we have. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm happy that I've been a part of MIAC, and I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's been I've been on MIAC for 3 years, and it's been a really great experience for me. I remember my first day when Principal Whittard of St. Michael called me into the office. I thought I was in trouble, actually. He didn't tell me why I was there. But then he told me about MIAC, and he put me on it. And yeah, I don't regret it whatsoever. It's been one of the most amazing experiences of my high school career. And thank you guys for your support this year. And I look forward to your support again in years to come.
So what are your plans now after this year?
I'm headed to Ryerson next year for professional communication.
And I'm headed to Western for integrated science.
Well done. Well done.
Thank
well,
you.
Yeah, let's clap. In Ryerson and Western, two great universities. And I would say Councillor Peter Angelo would like to say something.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And thanks for the presentation to both of you. It never ceases to amaze at all the great events that MIAC takes part in. I just wanted to mention the Youth Forum, especially Your Worship, because I thought that it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a great way to connect council to MIAC, to get us out there, answer a bunch of questions. I know you talked about some people getting cut off. I can't remember if it was the students or the politicians.
I'd like to also mention a couple of things. Number one, big call out to Beth Angle. Where's Beth? She here in the audience? Beth? Yeah, Beth. Right there. Beth is our Recreation and Culture staff liaison that works with the Mayor's Youth. And I have to tell you, what a great committee. And the part that I love is you hear all the high schools. You know, you don't have a segregation of schools, you have an integration of schools. So they all come together to work together as one community, because that's really what we are. We're one community. And especially appreciate that when you go away to university. You're from Niagara Falls. They don't care what high school you went to. They want to know what city you're from. So it'll come more together. But I just want to say, on behalf of the city, how proud we are of all the great initiatives that you do, whether you're working for people with disabilities, or you're cleaning the city, or coming up with new initiatives, or you're planting trees, or you're having some fun down on Queen Street with School of Palooza. You're always active and engaged, and it's very important. And the reason that we want this is because we need to pass the baton one day to you. So what we tell you is, please go out, get your education, get your life skills, go see the world, learn all you need to learn, and then come back. It's your city, and we want to make sure that you're prepared, that you're groomed, so we can pass the torch to you so you can run the city. So on behalf of the city, I just want to say you're a great group of people. So proud of what you all go on to become. So many of you have gone on to do great, incredible things, and I know you all will too. And I'm sure you've groomed some great students to come up from behind. And I know, because I have so many parents come to me and say, what do I got to do to get my kids on the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee? And really, it's up to the principals. The principals make the decisions. It's not us. So they go and they choose. And, some people, they feel that they're going to get in trouble, like Safar. And the truth is, you're actually getting a request to join the Mayor's Youth Advisory. So on behalf of the city, on behalf of City Council, I just want to say you do a terrific job. You represent us well. And thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. And Natalie, I don't have to go far. Her relation is Paisley, right? And we've got trails named after her, so sometimes the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, which is terrific. Okay, so next up, presentation we've got, and Councillor Morocco's here now too. And Councillor, we already went through disclosures of a pecuniary interest. And did you want to declare?
Yes, please. I have 3 checks to declare as a conflict: 393740, check 394476, and check 395283 made to my spouse.
Okay, thank you for that. Next presentation is Porch Fest. Shelley Glicka will inform us and seek Council's endorsement of Porch Fest, an event that will have musicians performing on porches in the community. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. I know a few of you, but for those that I don't, my name is Shelley Glicka. I have a passion for the community of Niagara Falls, and to me, the event of Porch Fest really brings together that passion with the arts and culture in the city. I did bring some flyers. If anyone would like them, I'll just leave them right there. So to give you an idea of what Porch Fest is, it is a small-scale community-based music festival. It started in Ithaca, New York in 2007. It is spread all over North America. Musicians will play on front porches for tips, and the community comes to the festival. So the porches are arranged through the festival as host porches. Attendees come to the event, and they're free to walk around and view the different porch stages. I have been working with both Dean and Clark to ensure that everything that I'm doing is really on board with what we need to do in the city, and I would really like your support for this event. I've had a wonderful outpouring of support from local musicians. On the flyer, you can see that I have nearly 30 musicians already lined up to play Porch Fest. I'm working on getting a few more porches. One of the potential porches that has approached myself has been the Niagara Military Museum. I understand that the city owns the Armory property, so I would also seek your permission to use the Armory property as a front porch for the event. Does anyone have questions about this?
Any questions of council? Councilor Pietrangelo.
Your worship, I don't have any questions, but I'd be happy to move the recommendation if you said.
Second, Your Worship. Okay, so we've got a motion to move the recommendation that you're suggesting by Councilor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councilor Carrier. Is there any further discussion to Porch Fest? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And including the Armory. Is that including? Yes. So that's approved unanimously, including the Armory.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. I really look forward to moving forward with Porch Fest. I think it's a side note. I'm also working with the organizer of Porch Fest in Niagara Falls, New York. Our events are coinciding on the same weekend, and thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up is livestock. And we have a presenter here. I've got, hopefully I say it right, Rafik Gurgis is the organizer and going to inform council of the second annual Livestock Niagara Music Festival. Did I get that right or was I close?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Jim Dudati and the honorable council members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. You're probably wondering who is this guy talking to you right now. And like Mayor just said, my name is Rafik. I've been running concerts in the city of Niagara Falls for 5 years. I put on over 140 concerts within the Niagara region, each concert showcasing 4 to 5 bands. I've been working through a number of venues throughout the city, such as the Q Club, Yanks, After 8 Lounge, Mansion House, Merchant Ale House, Coco Cabanas, Detour Music Hall, Taps Brewery, Capital Q, and many more as well. I've also done 200 independent independent artist bookings for cover musicians, and I've been running this initiative 3 years of it, 3 of the 5 years as SR Entertainment, and the last 2 years as Livestock Niagara. One of the things that I've found by running these concerts in the Niagara region is that Niagara Falls is a hotbed for talent. It's subterranean. It's not highlighted, but it's there. And the thing is that, you know, you see a lot of bands such as the Trues, City and Color, Alexis on Fire, you know, what have you, Dead Mouse, and people say these are the diamond in the rough. What I'm trying to say here is that they're not the diamond in the rough. We are sitting on a diamond mine of talent. It's about to burst from the seams and it's about to explode. I mean, we have Porch Fest, we have a lot of great initiatives happening in the city. The city wants culture. And there's this ongoing idea that our cultural identity in the city is not as strong as it could be. Well, I'm telling you it is. I'm telling you it is absolutely there. And it's within the citizens, people such as myself and others that are community leaders that are trying to take it to the next level and build a platform for musicians to be able to showcase their talent. What we're doing this year, it is the second annual Livestock Music Festival. Last year we did 18 bands on 2 stages, 12 hours, 4 vendors. It is an independently run concert, independently organized by myself. It is also a not-for-profit organization. Anything that we make from this initiative, it is free to the public, I should mention, but we do sell water, we sell t-shirts, anything that we make from the initiative goes back and cycles into the next year, which brings us into our second annual Livestock Niagara. So what we're doing this year is a little different. Last year we put a focus on, we put a great focus on the local talent, but we brought in a couple big headliners and to try to really build the name up. It didn't go as well as we had hoped, so what we're doing this year is a little different. We're doing 45 bands on 4 stages on 1 property in 14 hours in 1 day. And how this is going to work is we're doing 2 stages outside, 2 stages inside at the Taps Brewery property. And of the 45 bands, 41 of them are directly from the Niagara region. 38 of those are from Niagara Falls. And each one of these bands has, by bare minimum, has released an album, has toured the local Ontario region. So, I mean, they're prominent local bands, and it just goes to show you, here's an event that's going to highlight all the talent that we have here in the city. Right in front of you there are all the band names and all the different artists that are playing the festival this year. You may recognize some of them you may not recognize, and that's exactly the point. The bands that you don't recognize are the ones you need to go and check out and learn more about. We're also partnering up with the Niagara Institute of Music and Arts. We have built a platform, a stage for them in order to showcase the students that they are teaching and in order to give them an opportunity to present their music. And we are also showcasing a number of vendors from the Niagara region. All of these vendors have some tie in the local community in terms of they are artisans, they are craft art makers, they are painters. It's from the Niagara Falls Humane Society. Absolutely everything that's locally bound is put into this festival. These are some of the numbers that we have. This is the numbers from the event page on Facebook itself. Last year we had 100 interested and a little over 300 going. This year, as you can see, we've gone up by 300% in terms of the numbers. 62,000 people on Facebook have seen the event page come up. 3,700 of those people have actually clicked on the event page itself and read it. 1,000 of those people have made a commitment to either go or are interested in going. And we expect at bare minimum 600 people to show up at this event this year. So these are demographics. As you could see, the event itself targets a wide variety of people within the local region. We have tried to lay out the bands in a way that it doesn't just target people that are between 19 and 20 or 19 and 30. It broad across the entire age spectrum. And the reason why I put this particular graphic up is to showcase the power of some of the marketing tools that we are using to push this festival. We are using social media and print media inbound and outbound marketing. You can see there on June 3rd, I put out a Facebook advertisement very specifically targeted to a specific demographic and targeted at a specific time of day, and you can see right there and then that it went from 1,000 viewing to 3,000 viewing within one day. So the power is in the numbers, and you can see that there is interest in the local community. We have this particular graphic shows that within in this month alone, 1,000 people, unique IP addresses, have actually visited the homepage of livestockniagara.com. So there's definitely an interest in the local community for this. One of the things that that we've been doing to brand the Livestock Niagara name is over the last 2 years we've been running free community initiatives and free community events on Queen Street. We've been taking the leadership position on Queen Street to try to bring people down to the area, because one of the things I've learned is that you can't charge people for culture. You can't put a ticket price on something that they already own. You have to make it as absolutely accessible as humanly possible so people can come in and not be afraid to approach these events and learn about Niagara Falls and what we have here and the talent that we have here. And I've done this over the last 2 years by self-funding all of my events, 50% self-fund, 50% funded by sponsors and Taps Brewery. This particular event for this year, just to give you just a really quick financial breakdown, the way it's laid out is it's a $10,000 event. $4,500 of that is for the talents. We are paying absolutely every single individual musician that is playing at above par what is the industry standard for the allotted time that we are giving them, and it's all funded by donors, sponsors, and myself. $2,300 in production, $800 in management, $1,600 in marketing, $500 in miscellaneous such as lanyards, wristbands, tickets, what have you. And that puts us at $10,000. So of that $10,000, $4,000 of it was, we had $4,000 donated by Taps Brewery towards the cause because they are supplying us the venue. We've raised $900 through application fees. We charge an application fee to apply to the festival. And we raised another $600 between vendors and donors. So that puts us at a difference of about $4,100 that's left from the $10,000, which, to make up for the difference, I've applied for particular grants, and I'm in the process of applying for particular grants in order to cover the difference. However, if that falls through, it will be self-funded. Some of the donors and sponsors that we have are listed in front of you here. Taps Brewery, JR Organic Products, Pain TV, 97.7 Hits FM, Queen Street, Niagara Falls, the BIA itself, the Niagara Institute of Music and Arts, Brock Radio, Band on a Couch, Kojiko, Roadwaves, Contracting, 6M Contracting, Discover Music Niagara, and Merch Nation. So you're probably wondering, how can you help? Why am I here? Well, the reason why I'm here is because I really, really believe in this, and I think the community does too. And I think that the numbers show how much it's grown within just a 2-year period. Next year, I think, will be a pinnacle year in really defining what this music festival means to the city. It's already the biggest and most prominent local independent music festival in Niagara Falls and the first of its kind. For next year, what I'm asking for council is to match the contributions that we receive from individual donors and sponsors in order to help facilitate and make this an internal cultural initiative for Niagara Falls. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Rafiq. Now, do we, first of all, have an idea on the amount for next year? I know you see the trajectory.
Yes.
Any idea what you think that number could be for next year?
I'm projecting 7,500.
7,500? Okay. Do we have any questions or comments of Councillor? I'm sorry, I got Councillor Iononi and then Strange.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot. I had you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in your comment that we're a diamond mine of talent is absolutely true. When we started doing the Katie Campbell fundraiser, it was amazing how I was able to find some of the talent. And you have 3 of our performers on there. So you've got Olivia Vaca and Eden Ty, who did Taylor Swift and Michael Jackson in our last show. And you've got the senior there, Kate, who I love.
Yes.
But these are people who started on Facebook. Like, it's remarkable. There's 2 teenagers, and Kate is early 20s. These people eke with talent. And if you're on Facebook and you're following the posts, Meyer posts their coffee house performances every week. It's amazing the people that we have here. The most fun in putting the fundraiser together was finding the talent and listening to people and having them sing a cappella while you drove. It was remarkable. I fully support what you're doing. We've got a hotbed here, and this city is full of young and older people who are full of talent, and I congratulate you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Councillor Strange.
Yeah, to your worship, to Rafiq, thanks for the presentation. And yeah, you have a passion for this, obviously, and you're showcasing a lot of talent. And you look at this, it's the 2nd annual Livestock, and obviously it's a one-day event, but it's a year-long organizations and stuff you spend on the money and everything like that. And it's a good way of showcasing so much talent we have in Niagara Falls. I remember this little band from Nova Scotia coming into my bar and wanting to play for $100, and now they're all over Canada, called the Trues.
Right.
And just amazing how a little band like that, and we're in some little tiny VW van and run down, and all they want to do is play. And for people in bars like Taft Brew to give them the opportunity to play, and organizers like yourself, it's amazing. And like I said, there is so much talent out there, and we just have to showcase it. So thank you, and we'll support everything you do. Thank you.
Or do you want? Should we refer to staff to maybe sit down with them and come up with a plan? So, do you want to make that motion, Councillor? Okay, moved by Councillor Iononi, seconded by Councillor Strange. That will refer this to our staff to sit down and meet with you and come up with a plan and bring a report back to council. Thank you. That sound good? Yes, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, just a couple points. You do have a request later on in the agenda through Celebrate Old Downtown, which is related to road closures, like a fee, related to this event. Also, you may recall a couple months ago, you did approve an Arts and Culture Fund that we've actually directed Rafiq to make an application to.
Okay, yes, Councillor.
How much do we have left in that fund?
Ms. Mulder, would you happen to know off the top of your head how much is left in that fund, or Mr. Burnett?
It just closed, so it's $20,000 fund. Rafiq has put in an application for this year.
In time?
It's in?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good. So we've got it. It's in the queue. And okay, so in the meantime, we've got a supportive council that we're going to bring this forward. It's already come to staff, so we'll support that with a vote.
Can we just on we have the downtown BA here? Can we move that road closure for the same thing?
What is that under?
That's under communications, but there's a number of different requests for the downtown. Yeah, so I would suggest you know.
Okay, so we'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. So congratulations, well done. We're obviously supportive and real proud of what you've done already in the first couple of years.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Griffey. Okay, next. There's all the Mayor's Youth Advisory, so get a good look. That's someone near here. Thank you very much, Mayor's Youth Advisory. Have a good summer. Almost done, a few more weeks. Okay, next order of business is a special presentation that I'm going to come out to do. And I'm going to ask Councillor Strange if he'll join me for Hilda Mersnick, the former proprietor of the Happy Wanderer restaurant for many years of service in the local hospitality industry.
Hey, is that the mayor?
Wayne, why don't you come on out here too? And then we'll bring it to her. So we'll come to you. We'll come to you, Hilda. So let me. Can she come?
She's good. She's good.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Does she want it? Can you come on up here? Just want to jump over that. No, just around there. There's an opening over there if you can do it, Hilda.
Well, you want to go through or just here?
That was fine.
Mercedes. Yeah, still here. This is good. Yeah.
Is that good? Okay, we'll come to you. So here's the one. You guys want to? Wait, why don't you get over Wayne? Okay, so I'm going to come up to you here, Hilda. I'm going to read this. Get the camera on her, okay? I'm not sure if that camera's on or okay, what, but so I'm joined here by Councillor Strange and Councillor and former Mayor Wayne Thompson. And Councillor Strange suggests that we recognize you for a great service. So I'm going to read a little bit about your background for everybody.
Oh, that's nice.
That's good. So thank you everyone for being here and helping to celebrate what Hildy, is that the right way to say it? Hilda Mersnick has provided to the growth of Niagara Falls. Hildy arrived in Canada in 1950 to begin a new life, having fled war-torn Germany. It was in Edmonton shortly thereafter, 1952, that she met Hans, her husband-to-be, and they were married the following year. They chose to settle in Niagara Falls in 1961, where they purchased the Happy Wanderer property and established an ice cream stand, which later evolved into a coffee shop with counter service. From there, the business grew into a full-service restaurant featuring German specialties. At the same time, they began a family with 5 children, 2 girls, Carmen and Christine, and 3 boys, Fred, Gary, and Victor. After the tragic and untimely death of your husband, Hildy courageously carried on the tradition that she began with her husband for 45 years. It was the delicious servings of schnitzel and sauerkraut and other high-quality offerings, while German music played in the background, that thousands of customers influenced the expansion to 100 seats. The restaurant became a landmark in the heart of the Fallsview area. Passerbys would enjoy the exceptional landscaping for which she was awarded the much-coveted Trillium Prize on many occasions. Miss Mersnick was loved by everyone. Her staff was dedicated. Some remained with her for over 20 years. She kept a guest book for patrons to record their comments. The generous compliments that Hildy had received are a lasting source of much-deserved pride. The health, welfare, and schooling of her children, however, were a priority. Most importantly, she was and is the best mother and proprietor. The Niagara Falls is much richer for her contribution. So Hildy, on behalf of the City of Niagara Falls, all the residents, and of course our council, we want to say congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
From former Mayor Wayne Thompson and current councillor, this is a certificate that I signed myself, and you'll see a little happy face at the bottom. That's for me. This and $1 will get you coffee. Okay, so good luck with that. And also, a little extra, thank you, from Councillor Strange here in the council, is a beautiful framed picture of the falls in all its majestic glory that you can put up, and it'll help remind you of all the great years that you served all the tourists and helped the residents of Niagara Falls. So this is a gift for you. Congratulations. So why don't we stand on both sides of Hildy, and then maybe if you want to take it from this way. Yeah. So you like more my way a little bit, Hildy, and then we'll make some.
Well,
yeah, please go ahead.
Tell some story, legendary stories about the restaurant.
Yeah.
Anyway, I delighted with the opportunity to
recognize Mrs. Mersnick. I had the opportunity to work with her for so long. First of all, was the health department. Had the opportunity to eat there so many times, and it was without exception a favorite spot in the Fallsview area. And she lost her husband very young and 4 children, and she carried on and built that business, and she is without exception an inspiration to everybody. So congratulations.
Well, I went to school with Christine, and the legendary stories that she told me about her mom and stuff, I thought, we definitely have to reward her for all the great years of work down here, and especially you don't see those mom and pop restaurants anymore. You know, they're all kind of commercial stuff. And it's just awesome that she came over. And who are you going for in the Euro Cup? Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Judge, you got one there? Oh, was that? No? Okay, thank you. We're going to go one more. Hold on one second. I don't have my phone. One of you guys have a phone there? We can't. Ken? Can we do one more? Sure, of course. Oh, hi, Carmen. Oh, cool. Nice to see you. The other one. Okay, let's open it up one more time. Okay. So we'll, did she bring in schnitzel?
No schnitzel tonight, but later at home.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, there you go. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Hildy. Congratulations. Nice to see you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll come. Me and Mike will come together. Will you make us a schnitzel? Yeah, okay. All right, sauerkraut. Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're in? Vic's in? All right.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate it very much.
That's good. Hey, you gotta pass that down. They take a bite, I guess. Oh, it's gotta come this way? Oh, okay. I gotta pass it. Oh, my glasses. I love something. Oh, yeah. You can't see, that's all. It's not a big deal.
Second time I've had these glasses.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought so. All right, and we've got one more presentation of the District School Board of Niagara. Helga Campbell, trustee for the District School Board of Niagara, would like to make a presentation to council on the school board. So welcome, Trustee Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick, I had a little trip down memory lane with your recognition of Hilda because as immigrants to Canada in the 50s, my youngest brother, Johnny, who you saw today,
the flesh wound guy,
worked as a busboy at the Happy Wanderer, and of course we were always there for a lot of dinners as well. So that was a nice memory. Anyways, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I've been a trustee with the board for the last year and a half, and during that time it occurred to me that the function of the board and its impact on the community kind of flies under the radar for most of the community, and I thought it might be important for people to be aware of what the board is all about and the kinds of impact it does have on the community. So again, thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I'll begin with some very quick facts. As you can see up there, that there are 100, the board operates 103 schools in 12 municipalities across the Niagara region. There are 83 elementary schools and 20 secondary schools. The board's operating budget, and this may come as a surprise to you because I believe it's a little bigger than the city's operating budget, is $430 million. And it's governed by a board of 11 elected trustees from those 12 municipalities. Niagara Falls has the 2 trustees, myself and Kevin Maves. And what isn't on the slide there, on the slide there, is that we have 2 student trustees. And we're lucky in Niagara Falls that one of those 2 student trustees this year was Caitlin Hilborn, who is a student at Stanford and is graduating and going on into nursing at Brock. But the 2 student trustees, I always sit there and think, what a wonderful experience for these young people to see how government works, how decisions are made, the kind of collaboration and cooperation that's required to make good decisions, and the many opportunities they have. And they're connected to Ontario organization where they meet in Toronto with student trustees from other boards, and their initiative this year has been mental health. And our students put on a walk against the stigma for the board this year, which was involved a lot of the students from across the board. Going on across Niagara, or in Niagara Falls, oh sorry, we're still on across Niagara, yes. 36,000 students from JK to 12, 24,200 elementary students, 11,900 secondary students, and students from over 38 different countries speaking over 40 different languages. So we have as you can imagine, we have a large ESL program that is second language, English as a second language program. And also, just for your information, we have the board has an international coordinator, and through that coordinator we have 200 international students presently going to school in our system, and of course that brings income into the board because those students pay tuition, pay a fee. In Niagara Falls specifically, we have 15 elementary schools and 3 secondary schools, 7,000 students all told, 4,500 elementary students and 2,500 secondary students. We also have a large French immersion program in Niagara Falls. 2 elementary schools offer French immersion, and French immersion, by the way, begins in grade 1. That's opposed to the language, the French class that begins in grade 4 for all students. But French immersion begins in grade 1 and operates out of John Marshall Elementary School, and the seniors kids, the 7s and 8s in French immersion, go to Prince Philip. Meyer is the school that the secondary students go to for French immersion. And I'm sure you know the 3 secondary schools in Niagara Falls are Meyer, Stamford, and Wesleyan. Across Niagara, you'll notice that the DSBN is one of the largest employers in the Niagara region. We employ over 4,700 staff, 2,300 teaching staff, 1,400 support staff, that's your secretaries and EAs and so on, and 1,000 casual employees. This may be a term new to you, specialist high skills major. And what that is, along the way, and you may go back or think back to the days when we had a vocational school, and vocational schools have kind of gone out of favor across the province. And what's replaced them is this focus on some areas, more hands-on kind of employment, where students are given the specific skills to be very proficient in those kinds of jobs. And altogether across the board, we have 46 different areas of high skill majors, and you can see some of them, some of the types that we see here in our schools in Niagara Falls. In Meyer, there is the business special high skills major, construction, justice and community services, sports. At Stamford, we have arts and culture, health and wellness, horticulture, hospitality and tourism, information and communications technology, and at Wesleyan, business and horticulture. The really, I think the really special part about this program is that the kids, the students that go through those courses through the high skills major, they get preferential entrance to Niagara College and Brock University, and also they get many apprenticeship hours. There's something else that it allows the students to match their particular skills and aptitudes in a career path of their choice. They learn in a real work environment, on the job with employers, as well as in school, while at the same time receiving training. And this is really the important piece, because this is what employers are going to look at in any one of those sectors. They receive certifications specific to the sector that they've been studying in. And that's a real nice ticket for kids to have if they're going directly into employment after high school. Couple of examples of the construction program, specifically the Special High Skills Major Regional Construction Program in the Niagara region. This program began in 2004 in partnership with Habitat for Humanity, and since then we've built 22 houses within the region in partnership with various organizations and contractors, including Mountain View Homes in Niagara Falls, Dahan Carpentry, Habitat for Humanity, Park Lane Home Builders, and Hageman Construction, etc. The board's regional construction students have also participated in 2 commercial builds with Walker Environmental Group and Mountain View Homes, building the new Walker Living Campus. And those 2 organizations were big partners with the board in building that outdoor living center. I hope one of these times you get to see that, because it's a beautiful spot. And there were no taxpayer dollars involved in that. It was all done through the work of the students and through the partnerships that the board had gained through the community. And beyond the region, the DSBN has built 6 homes internationally in Paraguay, El Salvador, and Vietnam. Now, new schools, you'll see a whole list of new schools that have been built, and one of the things that that you may have heard, but this has been a big issue for boards all across the province, is that our enrollment in schools continues to decline. People just aren't having the children that they used to have. And so every year boards are faced, and I remember when I was still as an administrator, from the time I began as an administrator, every year we were cutting staff because there were fewer and fewer students in our schools. And the reason we've been able to build these schools, so there's a plus side, is because so many schools become their enrollment becomes so low that it's not feasible economically to continue to support them, because schools are funded on a per pupil basis, so that if your school gets below a certain number, you not only don't get enough money coming into the school for each of those students, but you also get penalized now by the province if you're operating below a 50% capacity level. So you can see that at some point when enrollments get really low in a school, you can't really afford to run that school anymore. And what's happened is that you consolidate, you go through an accommodation review process, and you consolidate the schools. Let's say there's 3 schools that you're looking at that could all be combined for one big school. And that's how the new schools have been built. And so there is that plus side, because with a new school, obviously you get a much more attractive and appealing environment than some of the older schools that we've had. So the new schools that have been built by the DSBN is Crossroads in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Forest View in Niagara Falls, and here's an interesting piece. Forest View is a huge school. I think it's our largest elementary school in Niagara Falls, and it was recently built and has portables. And a lot of times people will say, well, how come you built it so small that you now need portables right away? Because the time at which you are permitted to build a school by the province is based on your present enrollment. It's not based on, but we have a projection that we're going to have this many more kids in the area. You don't get the money for a school except based on what you presently have. So that's why I used to think why did they build a school so small? And now all of a sudden, right away, a year or two later, you need portables. So that's the explanation for that piece. Diamond Trail in Welland, 20 Valley in Vineland. Harriet Tubman, this one, I went to the official opening of this school, and it's really a gem. And you can't really see it, but in one of the side pieces there is a statue of Harriet Tubman, and she was one of the influential people in the Railroad North that allowed the slaves to escape and come to Canada. So that school was named in her honor. And closer to home for us, John Brandt in Ridgeway and Fort Erie Secondary, those are two schools still are presently under construction. Ridgeway to open this coming fall, the public school, and then Greater Fort Erie Secondary School, which will combine Ridgeway Crystal Beach High School and the present Fort Erie Secondary School. And that will open in 2017, the fall of 2017. Current renovations in our Niagara Falls schools. I was recently at a finance meeting, and I have to say I was blown away. There were 150 projects that were listed that the facilities department was presently engaged in working on in the various schools in the region. In Niagara Falls, Meyer has had library renovations which are completed, a front entrance completed, outdoor sports court which is presently under construction, and this may be news. We are pretty excited about this. Meyer will have a new synthetic sports field, synthetic turf, which will not only benefit the school itself, but the community, because it will allow for a lot more activities to take place in that location. Okay, current renovations, and then we go on to, further on in West Lane, we have a new greenhouse, which is under construction, a new front entrance, and this is one of the entrances that is so conducive to creating a nice environment for kids, where they walk in and there's sort of a tiered entranceway where kids can kind of sit and hang out, and it's very inviting. Science lab retrofits, this is always it's expensive, but it's necessary so that we go through all the science labs and make sure they're operating at a capacity that enables them to do the kind of work that the curriculum demands. At Stanford Collegiate, there was just the official opening of the new cafeteria entrance. It's a beautiful atrium, broad, very light and bright, and that has just been completed after after a year's work of construction, and the dust collection system retrofit at Stanford. Here you have just some specifics on what was passed by the board for the construction of the turf fields and tracks, beginning with Meyer here, and then Sir Winston Churchill and St. Catharines, and then 2 more sites to be determined in the following year. The next, I've mentioned this as well, the outdoor education that has become a big focus for the board, and that is to provide students with the kind of curriculum that allows them to be outside and learn a lot of those kinds of activities that take place outside. That's a picture of the Walker Living Campus. That was built, as I said before, with our special high skills major students and in partnership with Mountain View Homes. And in progress right now is the St. John's Outdoor Studies Center. Now, at the Walker Living Campus, what happens there is schools will arrange for a class or a number of students to come for the day, and some learning activities are arranged for the students. There's an indoor classroom, but there's a lot of outdoor exploration kind of activity that goes on for the students. It's really quite interesting, and you can see we're in the one area where younger students particularly would have a ball, and the instructors tell me that the kids come in muddy but happy, especially if it's been a bit of a rainy day. But they spend most of their time outdoor. The outdoor living, the Walker Living Campus is also a great partnership with Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority and Niagara Parks. You can probably see a little bit of a theme developing here where there are a lot of community partnerships involved, including the city, and I'll refer to that in a specific one in a minute. The one in St. John's within the Short Hills Provincial Park is currently being revitalized and renovated, and will open to students in the fall of this year for this kind of same kind of outdoor experience. One of the things too that the board has done is really contributed, I think, in a lot of ways to the Niagara Falls economy. First of all, with the conferences that have been held, international kind of conferences, the Connect conference this year, Canada's largest education technology conference, 2,300 participants from around the world. Chris Hadfield was a keynote speaker, and I was really lucky to be there. And he's a very engaging. If some of you have heard him, he's a very engaging speaker, and some of the experiences that he speaks about are just, I guess, mind-blowing is the only way to describe it, especially when you think about what he has seen and done. And this was hosted at the Scotiabank Centre, and I think the next conference that I should mention some things about what the Connect conference really is, how it benefits our students, and that is it does benefit the students, teachers, administrators, industry leaders, and it's about developing partnerships, showcasing products, and making connections with education and technology leaders. So on top of what happened on the stage, there was all kinds of exhibits by various leaders in technology. The other conference is the International Concussion Summit, and we've had at this, I think this is the second one. I remember one from last year. World-renowned experts examine complex issues, and you know that concussions are now big in the sports world especially, and a lot of thinking going on about what we should involve kids in. The participants at this conference include educators, healthcare professionals, coaches, athletes, parents, and it was hosted at the Hilton in Niagara Falls. Again, another contribution to the local community. Furthermore, every year the DSBN has a gala in the winter where and it's to celebrate everything the board does. It's not cheap to go to, but it's kind of a happy time for people, and through that it's a major fundraiser to support things like the Walker Living Campus, and it's well attended mostly by the staff of the district school board, and is held at the Hilton. So there's another center that's benefited from our association with the board. And finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategic plan. I'm wearing the shirt that kind of put together the theme that came out of the various consultations we had on developing the strategic plan, and that is I Matter. And the I being everybody that is a stakeholder in the DSBN community, whether it's parents, whether it's students, whether it's staff, whether it's the community. So what we did was we had we had 3 different sessions where we pulled everybody together, again at the Scotia Centre, and we had students, we had representatives from elementary and secondary schools, students participating. We had teachers, we had community members, we had support staff, we had admin staff, and through this process, we gained as much input as we could online. There was something on the board's website, asked for input on the various initiatives of the strategic plan, what people said was good, what wasn't so good, what we should be looking at doing more. And through that process, we developed the new strategic plan. And that is the mission of the board, that it is committed to student success by working together to inspire, empower, and support all learners to achieve their full potential. The vision, achieving success together, and the core values being respect, relationship, and responsibilities. One of the main themes that came together, and I think this is represented in the I Matter theme, and that is mental health, diversity, and that we need to acknowledge that those are big pieces of what we deal with on a daily basis, and everybody involved has to recognize and feel that that really is, that they are important, and that we are addressing everybody's concerns. So I think that's kind of the end of my presentation. If anybody would like ask any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Trustee. I've got Councillor Morocco and Councillor Crater.
I'd just like to say thank you very much, Mrs. Campbell, trustee, for coming and bringing this presentation. I think in all the years, I don't remember having one of our school board trustees, so I can go back to 2003, but I'm sure there's other people that might have seen a presentation before, and I see some of our seniors not, shaking their heads. So thank you very much for taking the time and sharing this with the staff and council, and also the community. I think that is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for your education.
It is, yes, agreed. I was thinking the same thing. I don't know any time I've ever seen a trust. I mean, we've even got Regional Councillor Valpatti in the room tonight, too. So this is good. It's become a very popular place. So we're connected.
We're connected.
Councillor Crater.
Thank you. I, too, want to share with how excited I am that you're here. And I just want to share with council, during my term of office at the provincial level, I learned so much about the importance of school boards and of trustees. I mean, I worked a lot with the school boards. I met so many of the trustees. What I remember, and I was sitting here thinking about this, not the last municipal election, but the one before. I remember thinking how important the election of our trustees are because of what I had learned. And so I took the time, if you remember correctly, to go to your debates. And it was at St. Michael's. And I can remember there was only the candidates there and maybe a couple of the family members. I remember sitting and thinking to myself, and I think I shared this with you and to Councillor Campbell, I can't believe this. One of the most important positions that we have in our community, and you've clearly shown it, and a budget of over $430 million. And the issues that the school board and the trustees have to deal with, which is the parents, and they have their children there, and they'll always have concerns. Schools, the way you articulated school closing of schools, that becomes so political. When you close the one in Niagara-on-the-Lake, extremely political. Everybody rallies and demonstrations. But some of the school boards, like when they closed the one in Fort Erie, they did it in a way where they really were able to communicate to the public, as you just did, as to why. It was really for the benefit of the students. Because sometimes you get fixated on the building, how important the building is, but you forget that there's a future ahead, you have to make changes for it. But I wanted to say that I'm hoping that we educate the public much more the way you've done, so that they understand that how important trustees are, how important their roles are, and that they get involved and realize the amount of work and time that the trustees put in. I know many of them, and it's not like you go to one meeting and it's kind of over with, and not the issues you deal with and the tough decisions you have to make. So I just want to say the same, and I'm sure the council feels the same way. It's great. I'm not trying to patronize you in any way, but I think it's great that you come out here, and I hope a lot of the people out there watching get a chance to see how important the election is and the important role that the trustees play. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments of our presenter?
I'll save mine for later.
Okay. Good call. So we're looking for a motion to receive the presentation. Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Morocco. All those in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, Trustee Campbell. Appreciate you coming out. We've never had so much clapping. Normally, we don't have too much clapping in here. Yeah. Okay, next up, we've got reports portion of our agenda. And we've got Recreation and Culture Report 2016. We've got the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Endowment Fund 2016 recipient. And to present to Council, we have Laura Moffat, co-chair of the Arts and Culture Committee. Welcome, Ms. Moffat.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for providing the opportunity for us to recommend the award recipient today. I know the agenda is very full, and we appreciate your time. I am Lori Moffat, co-chair of the Arts and Culture and Museum Committee, and I will be presenting the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Endowment Fund. Just a little background, the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Endowment Fund is awarded annually to one Niagara Falls resident in any creative arts field. Several changes have been made to the endowment fund since it began in 1998, including the name from the Young Family Endowment Fund to the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Endowment Fund. The criteria is as follows. All individual applicants must be residents of Niagara Falls. Applicants may submit only one application to each deadline. Members and relatives of the Arts and Culture Committee are not eligible to apply. Recipients must be active artists in any creative field in the city of Niagara Falls, and recipients must have accumulated substantial volunteer hours in an arts organization in Niagara Falls. And the recipients must be graduating high school or older to receive this award. Applicants are requested to provide a sample of their work, a resume, and a statement of their intention for the endowment funds. This year, the Arts Culture Museum Committee received several very worthy applications for the award. We believe that it was the best year of applications in recent memory and showcases the breadth and depth of the local talent in our community. There were many notable applicants, and they ranged from established visual artists to composers to video artists to musicians. And we encourage them all to apply again in the future. Committee reviewed the 11 applications and in great detail and agreed to recommend to City Council to approve the $1,000 endowment that is in your report to Council by City staff. After careful review and consideration, and this was really very difficult, Tristan Zamet is recommended as the 2016 recipient. Mr. Zamet is a local 2D animator and illustrator who has recreated animation for web and TV-based programs. He has worked closely with the fusion of illustration and music to create animated music videos, album promos, concert posters, and album artwork. He intends to have the funds assist in the cost of hiring a local stop-motion animator to assist in animation of a new music video. As he stated in his application, in my niche animation career, the work I pursue has been focalized on fusing music with my cartoons, creating animated music, videos, album promos, concert posters, album artwork. I strive to integrate my imagery with music. We'd now like to show a quick 2-minute demo reel of his work to showcase his skills.
It's got nothing to do with reality.
itself with concrete floor.
Wow, that was great.
Unfortunately, Tristan can't be here tonight, but we will make sure he gets his.
Well, you know what we'll do then, Ms. Buffett, we're going to get a motion to support this. So we're looking for a motion to approve the recommendation awarding Tristan Zamet as recipient of the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Award. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. Do we have any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. So well done. That was very talented. Very, very good.
My name is Tristan Zamet. I'm a self-taught 2D animator from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Right now I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to tell you a little bit about what I do. I've developed a very refined niche of creating animated music videos, working with clients like Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan, Joey Badass from Pro Era, Mick Jenkins, No Name Gypsy, Brandon Burnett, and more. I built a reputation for my ability to create animated music videos, as well as a plethora of animated shorts that I've been able to accumulate over the years. Now, as an animator who follows the classic principles of animation, I create frame-by-frame animation, so I spend about 12 to 14 hours every day laboriously drawing each individual frame. I also work with other people in my community like Aaron Beeran, a stop-motion 2D animator from Toronto, Ontario, as well as with people all across the globe. By working hard, I'm able to achieve employment through my animations, and I'd like to thank the Council for bestowing onto me the Alistair Young Endowment Fund for the year 2016. Thank you for choosing me.
Wow, that is good. Do you have a video next where he gives us the 649 numbers too? Thank you very much, Ms. Moffat. That was terrific. See the talent, right? That's what he said. We're on a diamond mine in this community. Absolutely agree with that comment. Moving on to reports, we've got the 2016-21-2014 consolidated financial statements. I don't know anyone from council if they have any questions. We do have Mark Palumbi here from Crawford Smith and Swallow if there are any questions on the consolidated statements. So he's here if you do have any questions. So, receive the financials moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Carriot. Are there any questions at all in regard to the financials? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. So thank you for being here, Mr. Palumbi, and thank you very much, Mr. Todd, for all your work on this. And next up, last report under reports is the update on the strategic initiatives. It's in your council package, and if there are any questions, we've got our CAO here that can answer them. Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to receive the strategic initiatives. Councillor Carriot? Okay, moved by Councillor Carriot, seconded by Councillor Campbell, that we receive the strategic initiatives. Do you have any questions? Councillor Thompson?
I probably should quit talking about this.
Okay, then.
Every time I see this thing about the regional airport come up, this has been going on for 20 some odd years, where we've been trying to get the region to take this over. I can recall all the discussion and the debate. Every time it comes up, somebody from another municipality, and I'm not going to name any, we have a landing strip here, we have one really substantial airport where there's been a lot of effort over the years, a lot of time. Even the government has got involved recently, and this is our economic development and our opportunity. And here we have 3 municipalities supporting it for the benefit of the entire region. And each year we're asked for additional dollars to try to help this initiative up. And I recall many years ago where Thorold was involved as one of the partners, and they said, we're notifying you now because we have to give a year's notice that if things don't change and it doesn't become a regional responsibility, then we are going to withdraw. And I think there's a 1-year notification that has to be given. So I'm at the point where each year we hear the same situation. You have the same political debate at the region, and we're one of the municipalities that are supporting it for the benefit of everybody else. And I think it's time we send a resolution just saying if there isn't a change in the next year, and hopefully there is, because That's the best thing for everybody involved. Not only economic development, maybe we're going to have tourism flights in there. There's all kinds of opportunities. There's no other airport that has the opportunity that we have here. And do we need it? Absolutely. So I'm on the verge of saying it's time to pull the plug and send the resolution. I think you have to give them a year's notice. So is there a debate going on in the region?
I can give you, well, you know what, I'll tell you, I'll ask the CAO, maybe, and then I've got our board member, also one of our council, our liaison, but maybe I'll start with the CAO, if you want to give an update, our discussions with the region.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. And what's happening right now, there's a study that's been underway. So late last year, the 3 municipalities that fund the airport, which is St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and Niagara-on-the-Lake, all passed resolutions to ask the region to look at taking over control. So the consultant is just doing a study for the region right now. That study is expected later this summer, and we'll have a report back to this council to be able to tell us what that direction is. I think it's that time that, depending on what that direction is, we can have a decision of whether or not we want to put them on notice. The thinking of the 3 municipalities are, if we're going to raise or elevate the level of activity, including flights, it really needs to be raised to a higher level because there needs to be another capital infusion, and we can't take that on ourselves. And the view here is if we can get the region to buy into it, that capital infusion can come at a higher regional level, and that's what we're hoping the report's going to come back and say.
Yeah. So there still has to be the debate. You're still going to have the same arguments?
No, actually, I can tell you this. At the region, there's an absolute appetite for the region to be at the table. Politically, there is an appetite. And we've had to address, you're right, the other airport in Niagara South, which is not actually classified as an airport. I forget the exact, an aerodrome. It's not actually called an airport. So recently we've gotten CADSA designation at the Niagara District Airport, which means you can have international flights and security. And recently we went with the chair and the mayor of St. Catharines. We met with the Porter owners about them, and you might have read about it, having us be their hub for all their flights because they can't get the big jets on Billy Bishop, and they're going to be closing down Buttonville, and they're going to have to stop expansion of Pearson. So we're in a very good position. The region is actually interested politically, so we're in a good place. And maybe too, if we could, I can ask Councilor Morocco if you want to give us an update from your side of things as our liaison.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Councillor Thompson, for bringing that up. And I know there's been many years that we've been trying to move this airport ahead. And just a quick overview, there's been quite a lot of action on the Niagara District Airport, and we've actually been doing a lot of lobbying with our regional councillors to try and get their support, as well as our own representatives that sit on the regional council are from Niagara. But we have had, as many of you know, CATSA approval. But the only problem is that CATSA is so expensive for us to operate an airport that it's just far beyond what we've got in revenue sources right now. So this week, actually Friday, the airport chair, Gary Murphy, is actually flying to Ottawa to meet with the Minister of Transportation and see if there's some way. And I think apparently there's like 9 other airports. So we're all working together across Canada to see if we can actually work in getting these funds a little bit reduced to help us off. And yes, Councillor Thompson, we have been meeting with a number of different airports. There's also talk now about a couple of airports that are actually looking at doing Toronto-Niagara, Toronto-Ottawa, or I should say Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake, I'll refer to it. But so there's a lot of action coming that way, and we just hope that we can constantly, keep moving forward. But to Councillor Thompson before, it is extremely important that we make sure that we get this taken over by the region, because it definitely is a regional airport, and we need that support to happen sooner than later, just because it'll be more recognized too. I think that was about it. We actually are also doing some more revenue building there. We've got solar panels going up, more hangars coming in, so there's a lot of things that are actually moving forward, and we're glad to see the progression happening.
But you're absolutely right, Councillor.
I appreciate your comments, and I still think we should do it and send a message to them that we're not playing around anymore, come to the end of the rope, but I'll wait until the report comes through and see what transpires. at that particular time with the debate. Is there any update on the casino unit and the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have been meeting with the consultants. The report is coming along quite nicely. Actually, the treasurer and I have a conversation with them again tomorrow. We're expecting that report to be back in front of council here in the fall. And what our hope is that we can have a decision made by council so that as we get into the 2017 funding cycle, we can have decisions made on what level of funding we're going to commit to the casino unit.
Are you getting any update from the other municipalities with respect to what Windsor did? Did Rama ever have a casino unit? What's going on in Toronto? Did they ever have? They just work it into the regular policing system.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different, but we do have that information. The consultants have gathered that. For example, Windsor, they're a one-tier. We happen to be a two-tier with the local and regional. But you're right, they have blended that into their normal policing, and they have not near the level of funding that they put towards this in Windsor.
Well, anyway, I'll wait for the report to come back. And the other one that has always been of interest, we've had more problems with the railroad in the last couple of years than we've ever had with breakdowns and stoppage and whatever. And I had a conversation with the CAO prior to the meeting, and he indicated that there are some things that are going on that could give us the opportunity to get back into serious discussions to relocate the rail line going through the city. So I appreciate that, and I think these priorities, if we can pull them off, I think we're going to be in great shape. Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for that, Councillor. If there are no, so we've got a motion on the floor right now to receive the strategic initiatives. That was made by, it's been so long ago, I can't remember. Yes, Councillor Inoni?
I'm sorry, I was looking for something. Welland just announced that they are getting GE.
Yes.
And I was listening to their mayor and their economic development officer on the radio, and they talked about how strongly they went after GE. The second they knew that GE was looking to move, how strongly they went after GE. Did we make any attempt? Like, I'm just curious to understand how that works.
Well, that's very curious that you'd bring that up, Councillor, so thank you. Actually, the interesting part, yes, that whole GE movement started right here in Niagara Falls. This is where it began. And through our contacts, our post-secondary contacts and relationships, because it's always both the relationship, they reached out to us.
GE did?
Well, yeah, we reached out to GE rather, through our contacts, yes. Unfortunately, they required 50 acres of heavy industrial, of which we don't have in Niagara Falls. So we then met with the president of GE, along with some of her senior staff. We met with the mayor of St. Catharines and the chair of the region. And we met them at the Ontario Economic Summit in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So we got together and we said, if it can't fit here, it'll fit somewhere in Niagara region. You definitely want to be here because we're competing with Guelph, with Cambridge, with Windsor, with Quebec. And this is a factory that moved from Wisconsin. So heavy industrial, as they refer to it, is a brilliant plant. This will be the only second brilliant plant in the world outside of India. So it was here that it started. We brought the region to the table and we showed how we work as a region. Because just like in General Motors is in St. Catharines, 20% of the workforce comes from Niagara Falls. We know that even if GE locates in Welland, 20% of the workforce will still come from Niagara Falls because we have all the skilled laborers here as well. So the problem was we did not have the heavy industrial cleared land. And that's what they needed, 50 acres of that, and Welland did. So they had a site put aside, actually originally, that they were saving for their hospital, ironically. But they decided off the 140 that this would be more appropriate for the jobs. So these will be good paying jobs, a lot of engineers. This is going to tie into post-secondary. It's going to be very, very, very good for the region. We felt, yes, we wish it could have been in Niagara Falls, but being in Niagara is still going to be great for the region. It's going to benefit all of us. And I think it showed that we played team. Matter of fact, I got a nice text message thanking us for playing team from the the chair of the region, and it was acknowledged that our economic development office is where it started. And then we were able to pass the puck to those guys. And so we got the assist and they got the goal. But it was nice that we were a part of it.
Which is funny, he didn't mention that.
I know that was funny. That
because
was
I
funny.
listened to that thinking, oh, that was very interesting. Okay, so let's tag team on to that will tie into post-secondary. So do we know any more about that application that we've put to the FedDev?
We're still working on the application. There was some more information that we needed, so we're still working on that, getting them more. They come back, they want more. You have to find this. How are you doing this? And some specific proprietary stuff that we're still working on with them to fill the requirements.
Okay, so do we have any idea when we will get any answer back from them?
I don't know if we do we? Maybe the CAO can answer it better.
Well, they really haven't given us any firm indication, simply because with the new government, they've got new ministers in the portfolio, they've got new staff. And as the mayor's indicated, they've asked for clarification on a number of things. We're getting that back to them. We're actually hoping to meet with them and their staff again. We've been meeting with our post-secondary partners, but
Who is that?
I can't really give you a deadline on it.
Who is our post-secondary partners? Because we were in a downtown BIA meeting and we were told it was Ryerson. And when I was asked, I couldn't answer that.
It is Ryerson University.
And who are our partners that we submitted the FedDev application with?
It's Ryerson is the applicant.
Okay, but there was another one. Because when we had the presentation in April a year ago, there was an independent private investor, because we had that conversation.
There are private sector investors working with Ryerson. The applicant for the file is Ryerson University. So what is
That
on
helps.
file?
Thank you.
What is on file is Ryerson University, and we're not even technically part of the application because it's a FedDev application through Ryerson University.
So Ryerson was the applicant when you brought the motion to the discussion to council in camera?
Ryerson has always been the applicant.
We didn't know that, and you didn't tell us that, but thank you.
Those two students still on King Street studying there?
There's three now. Okay, so we'll call the vote on the motion. Any other questions? No? All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, great. So now we'll move on to our planning matters. Mr. Clerk, would you introduce the next item on the agenda, please?
Your Worship, a public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city zoning bylaw to permit a agricultural purposes only zoning for 9042 Netherby Road. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on Friday, May 13, 2016, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passage of the zoning bylaw amendment to participate in any site plan process, if applicable, or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Hurlovich, would you please explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment?
Thank you, Worship. This application involves a farmhouse and 16 acres of land behind that to accommodate a severance. So the property is 18 acres on the south side of Netherby Road. There are farms and farm residences in the vicinity. So the proposal is to sever. This has been heard by the Committee of Adjustment and granted. There's a condition that they get this zoning in order to fulfill the requirements of the approval. So there's a proposal to sever 0.4 hectares, that's 1 acre of land, from the northeast corner of the property. The balance of the land, 6.8 hectares, which is a little over 16 acres, will be retained for agricultural purposes. The Planning Act and the provincial policy statements require that if you sever the farmhouse from the farmlands, then the farmlands must be zoned for agricultural purposes only. There's some additional lands that extend into Port Colborne, and they're subject to the zoning provisions of Port Colborne. Again, the property is at 9042 Netherby Road, and 7.2 hectares of the land are in the city of Niagara Falls. It's under the Humberstone bylaw, number 70-69. There was no one that came out for our open house in May. As I said, the provincial policy statements provide for this kind of consent where you can separate the farmhouse from the farmland, so it complies with those policies. The official plan provides that that 0.4 hectares, which is 1 acre of land, is sufficient for a dwelling and septic field, and then the balance of the land, as I've said, would be used for agricultural purposes only in order to preserve those lands. In order to recognize this, the Humbersome bylaw doesn't allow a farm or a house to exist on its own without a farm, so the proposed zoning would allow a dwelling as a permitted use on its own, and again, it would reduce the lot area from 10 hectares down to 0.4 hectares, which is 1 acre. So therefore, we're recommending the application complies with the provincial policy statement, and the regional policy plan complies with your official plan, and it protects farmlands, and therefore we're recommending that council approve the zoning bylaw and to establish site-specific regulations for Part 1, which is the farm dwelling. Those are highlights.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of council have a question of Mr. Hurlovich at all? I do, actually. Mr. Hurlovich, would the severance, I guess, reason behind it be because the applicant is wanting to, I guess, retire from farming?
No, it's actually different from that. This is an active farmer. He has other farms in the area, and so he's considered to be consolidating farm operations. So he would be using the same equipment that he uses on his other farms to farm this land. So it's a farm consolidation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Hurlovich? Okay. The council will now hear from the applicant or his representative. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to the application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gary Davison. I'm the Vice President of Davison Farms Limited. We purchased this property and we're basically severing off. I think we were at the Committee of Adjustment, completed the severance, and as a condition of the severance, as you've heard, we have to rezone this portion of property. Port Colborne Council completed their rezoning last night. So everything's complete at Port Colborne now. So I guess we've got a 20-day wait period with Port Colborne. We've done this numerous times before. I think this is now we're primarily based in Fort Erie, but we've also got farms in Port Colborne as well. Basically, I think this is this would be about our 15th agricultural severance, where we're severing off a surplus dwelling to retain the agricultural land.
Okay. I'd like to also add, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per section 3419 of the Planning Act. Any other questions of council? Okay, seeing none.
Yeah. Which is supposed to ask for anything from the public.
Yeah, we got that's anyone out of order. Is anybody from the public here other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw amendment? Okay, seeing none. We've done things out of order, but we'll make it a little funky tonight. That's good, yeah. I know, like you tell me all the time, you forgot more than I know. Actually, you're right, it is. The public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Morocco. We'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. So thank you very much.
I'd also like to point out, I'm sitting on the back cushion back there, and there seems to be maybe some fleas or something that seem to be coming out of there.
Out of the cushion?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And so I just thought you might want to have that checked out.
Yeah, we'll have a look.
I just seem to be getting all these fleas back there.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. That was good. Thank you for that. Councillor Strange, can you go look into that, please?
Where do you think they came from?
Well, Councillor Strange has been sleeping here at nighttime, so, okay. Moving on. Mr. Clerk, would you please introduce the next item on tonight's agenda?
Your worship, a public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city's zoning bylaw to an extension of site-specific tourist commercial zone and removal of off-site parking permission. This is in relation to 6158, 6170 Stanley Avenue, parcel on 6158 Allendale, and 6220 Stanley Avenue. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on Friday, May 13th, 2016, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passage of the zoning bylaw amendment to participate in any site plan process, if applicable, or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now I ask Mr. Hurlovich, our Director of Planning, to explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Yes, Your Worship, this property involves the lands associated with the Wyndham Hotel on Stanley Avenue. So the Wyndham Hotel is located on parcel 1 on the east side of Stanley Avenue, just south of Robinson Street. And also involves parcel 3, which is a parking lot on this east side of Stanley Avenue. When the Wyndham was built, the owner of the hotel did not own parcel 3. He owned parcel 2, which is the former Zippo plant on Allendale. He couldn't provide all of the parking on parcel 1, so he provided some of the parking on parcel 2. He's now acquired parcel 3, so he wants to provide all of the required parking on parcels 1 and 3 and remove any requirement for parking on parcel 2, the Zippo plant, and that will be a straight TC zone. So again, this is the site plan. It shows the location of the hotel. You can see the parking lot to the south of the hotel, which will accommodate all of the parking needs for that property with some excess parking as well. So again, the zoning involves 3 parcels of land. The lands have a site-specific provision for the hotel. Basically, it's to consolidate the 2 parcels, 1 and 3, and remove the off-site parking from the other property. No residents came to the meeting in May. So again, for the Zippo plant, parcel 2 will revert to a straight TC zone, and parcels 1 and 3 will be for the hotel and associated parking. Supporting that, the zoning will eliminate the need for off-site parking and the associated traffic congestion with valeting parking back and forth. So this is an improvement in the city. As well, there's a Section 37 agreement. That Section 37 agreement required a payment to the city for streetscape improvements. Those are being held in a reserve fund. So we've collected the money. There's no longer a need for that Section 37 agreement, so we can release that. We're recommending a release of it. And then the site plan agreement will be modified to recognize that parcels 1 and 3 are now part of that site plan agreement, and parcel 2 will be removed from the site plan agreement. Therefore, staff is recommending the removal of the off-site permission and the consolidation of the required parking for the expanded hotel, which is in keeping with the official plan. It encourages the required parking to be provided on-site, which is, again, is consistent with the city's policies. So staff is recommending that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment application to rezone Allendale from a site-specific tourist commercial to a straight tourist commercial, and then to apply the site-specific zoning TC 914 southward to also include 6220 Stanley Avenue. And there is a bylaw on tonight's council agenda associated with this application. Those are the highlights.
Thank you, Mr. Hurlovich. Are there any questions of Mr. Hurlovich for council? Seeing none, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting the appeal as per Section 3419 of the Planning Act. Council will now hear from anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Is there anyone here other than the applicant? Okay, seeing no one here, council will now hear from the applicant or his or her representative. There's no, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Vaca provided a email, which is on your desks, basically saying that he's in agreement with the recommendation of staff. Didn't feel there was anything pressing that required him to be in attendance.
Yep, fair enough. Well, then this public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Looking for motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Carrio. Any discussion to the motion? A conflict by Councillor Thompson. Excuse me. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that is unanimous with one conflict. Thank you for that. And Mr. Clerk, would you please introduce the next item on the agenda?
Your Worship, a public meeting is now being convened to consider a city-initiated amendments to the city zoning bylaw. This is to amend the zoning of a former natural corridor, adjust the minimum lot frontage requirements, and expand the list of permitted uses. And this is in relation to the property at Montrose Business Park. Notice was given. Notice was given by, I believe, in accordance with the regulations, a number of people were notified by first-class mail on May 13th, 2016, and notification to all owners of land within 120 meters of the land to which the application is subject to. Anyone who wants notice of the passage of the zoning bylaw amendment or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I now ask Mr. Ilovich, our Director of Planning, to explain the purpose and reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Worship. And I just point out that we're using a new slide format developed by Dale Morton's office, where we've tried to introduce a few more graphics and less words, and I hope that's actually working for everyone. Although maybe my words are not quite as few as the slides. So it does involve the lands, the city clerk pointed out, of the city's Montrose Business Park. So it's all of those lands from Chippewa Creek north to Warren Creek, and from Heartland Forest Road on the west east to Montrose Road. It's a city staff initiated amendment. It's to remove a environmental protection zone which recognizes a former natural heritage corridor that is it was identified as a connecting link between Warren Creek to the north and the Welland River to the south. As well, the staff initiated amendment is to recognize a 60 or 50 meter frontage as the minimum lot frontage rather than 60 meters. 50 meters is the smallest lot in the industrial parks. We do want to have those correspond with the lands that we are selling, and that we are also adding a restaurant as a use which could establish within this industrial park. There were no significant concerns at the public meeting, although there was one letter of concern expressed by a local landowner. It was her belief that the corridor area does form an important linkage between the Heartland Forest and the Welland River. However, if you know this industrial park, we have basically clear-cut the property in order to ready it for industrial purposes. So there are no basically large stands of trees or wooded areas that would serve that corridor. The regional policy plan recognizes that this property is in the growth area of the city. The business park is located within the urban area, and under the city's and region's official plan, it's recognized as one of our strategic economic gateway areas, and that the park is designed to capitalize on long-term business opportunities in the area. The provincial policy's natural heritage map identifies a woodlot corridor within this proposed area. However, as I mentioned, the property has been clear-cut. The MPCA recommended that an environmental impact study be prepared to investigate the impact of removing that corridor, but the city has the ability to waive the requirement for such a study in consultation with the region and the MPCA, and therefore we have not required such a study to be undertaken. The city's policies, the Gardner South Secondary Plan, the reason for that is that we had the Gardner South Secondary Plan. In that secondary plan, we circulated it to various agencies, including the region and the Conservation Authority. And at that time, the corridor was removed as a designation in the official plan, and now we're basically bringing the zoning bylaw up to date with that official plan amendment. The amendment was done in 2012. We should have done it before now, but we're catching up at this point. The zoning bylaw, as I said, will change it from environmental protection to prestige industrial, which is the same designation or same zone as either side and is in conformity with the official plan. The reduction from 60 meters to 50 meters is the smallest lot, and the addition of the restaurant use will service the current and future employees of the area. This is trying to provide a balanced approach between natural protection and economic return. So the amendment is recommended for the reasons on screen, which I've already encapsulated, and so therefore we're recommending that Council approve the zoning amendment to rezone the EPA corridor to prestige industrial, special provision 849, to reduce the lot frontage from 60 meters to 50 meters, and to add a restaurant as a permitted use. There is a bylaw on tonight's agenda for Council's adoption. Those are the highlights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurlovich. Do we have any questions of Council for Mr. Hurlovich? Okay, seeing none, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral that it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per Section 3419 of the Planning Act. Council will now hear from anyone who wishes to speak to this proposed bylaw amendment. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this? Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you in the corner there. All right, did you want to have... yeah, come on up to the mic, Mr. Beam.
Hi, my name is John Beam. I live at 8891 Montrose Road. I guess I'm a little bit further than the 120 meters away from the property. I live right on the Welland River, and I don't agree that last year you guys clear cut everything, and now you're trying to pass a bylaw to get rid of the corridor. I have, like, from what I'm living there, I see deer coming through the area, like that. It was like a lot of wildlife coming through, coyotes, deer, raccoons. I have everything on my property, and they go right down to the Welland River, and they go right back up. I have a pathway right at the end, outside of my property, and I just don't think that, changing the zoning for it, right? I mean, it's too late now. You guys already cut the trees down. You guys put in the drains to drain the property, right? And now, you ruined a piece of property. And also the part with the restaurant, somebody bought Sam's Montrose Hotel, right? And they're trying to rent out the restaurant, and the guy's going to invest millions of dollars into the property, right? And you're going to permit a restaurant over on the other half, where you already have one there that's going to try to, survive. The guy's trying to make a go of it. So I don't think you need a restaurant on the other side.
Okay.
So I just don't think that you should be getting rid of the wildlife corridor, because they have nowhere to go. Like, they're going to be in an industrial area, they're going to be out on the road. Like right now you have deer crossing the road all the time out there, and it's a high traffic area. Mm-hmm. They need somewhere, it's safe.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Thank you. No. Any other questions of council? Anyone else here that any comment or question? Okay. And if there's no final questions from council, the public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Okay, it's moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Strange. Do we have any other comment before I call the vote? All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. So thank you very much. Now, of course, looks like, look at that. See, I see Councillor Carrier leaving. He knows that it's the mayor's reports and announcements. So yes, there's a few announcements. It's been a few weeks, but I'll start off with obituaries, and unfortunately this is a bigger section of tonight's announcement. Christina Welna, mother of Merzena Carrick, passed away. Merzena Carrick in transportation. Jack Collinson, retired city CAO, and also father of Brian Collinson, retired fire captain with the city, passed away. Margaret Franken, mother of Tom Franken in cemeteries, passed away. Irene Naylor, the sister of Frank Naylor in Environmental Services, is no longer with us. Don Elsley, sister of Nancy Elsley of Supply and Services, passed away. Murray Mowers, father of Susie Mowers, partner of Councillor Mike Strange, passed on. Kyle Kubik, son of Kelly Kubik, fire prevention officer. Bob Urquhart, father of Taylor Urquhart, Niagara Falls firefighter and brother of Bill, who works at the Gale Center Arena. And Wendy Southall, former chief of the Niagara Regional Police Services, have all passed away. So it's been a sad and busy month, and our condolences go to the families who've lost their loved ones. What's happening? Building Niagara Together, Chamber of Commerce event was held at the Old Stone Inn with our Minister of Municipal Affairs. Councillor Thompson joined me there. We had the grand opening of the Little Shop of Beauty Salon and Spa on Queen Street. We had the 70th anniversary of the Dutch-Canadian Friendship Tulip Garden, which was held at the Niagara Falls Armory. We had a Touch a Truck event at the Gale Center where all the young kids came and got to touch the big trucks and bulldozers and snowplows. The Niagara Regional Police International Tug of War took place on the Rainbow Bridge, and this year we were not successful. The Niagara Falls, New York squad won, and we were there to watch that as well. And it was typically the Niagara Falls Canada team, or the Niagara Regional Police, do typically win. City of Niagara Falls Public Works Week had their yearly barbecue at the Service Center. Respect for Law Awards night took place at Optimist Club recently. Habitat for Humanity had their groundbreaking on Caledonia Street. The grand opening of the Midnight Social Club took place on Queen Street. The 21st annual Lightning by the Falls Gymnastic Competition took place at the Gale Center. We had our retiree luncheon here in town. The grand opening of the new location for the Lifetime Financial took place on Portage Road. The grand opening of Salon Arizona in Chippewa. I was also joined by Councillor Morocco. Springalicious took place in Niagara Falls downtown. I know Councillor Iannone was there. I'm not sure what other councillors were there. It was pretty busy, but what's that?
I was there late.
Okay, Councillor Strange was there late too, as was Councillor Pietrangelo and Councillor Thompson. I think most of the councillors swung by at some point, but it was a great event. Very well attended, very exciting, and everybody went away really, really happy. So well done, and kudos to the downtown BIA for the best Springalicious to date. With the city, of course, well, the city is a partner, of course, with the downtown BIA, and it was a great partnership. We had the annual Tourism Week kickoff event, and I was joined by Councillor Thompson as we kicked off tourism, and we're expecting another banner season. Excuse me. I was at Tim Hortons Camp Day, where proceeds from their car wash and all food bought and T-shirts went to Tim Hortons Camp. Parks and Recreation Month had their kickoff walk at Rosberg Park, and I was and the Olympic Torch Trail. I was joined by Councillor Strange. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference took place in Winnipeg, and I was there representing the city. It was great this year because we did have the Prime Minister there, and typically the Prime Minister has not been there as of late. And the fact that they're going to be giving us significant funds for infrastructure is great to have him there, making his promise personally, which was great to have. He got 2 standing ovations. People were very happy to have the Prime Minister there. It was important. Niagara Falls Tourism Client Appreciation Golf Tournament took place recently at Thundering Waters. Shriners had their flag raising ceremony across from City Hall, and I was joined by Councillors Campbell and Thompson. I didn't realize Councillor Thompson was a Shriner. I learned that night. CWD, City Circus World, had their Create What's Different 55th corporate anniversary. So I was there to do a walkthrough with them as well. And they've now hit 100 employees. The company's been very successful and very proud of what they've done and the Jane family. We had the grand opening of Panorama Condos, and they had their grand opening at their offices at 7000 McLeod Road. Pathstone Hope Awards took place at the last Friday at the casino in the Grand Ballroom, featuring Margaret Trudeau, talking about the fact she suffered from being bipolar for many years, and that treatment does exist. She talked about all of her struggles until she got to that treatment level. It's very interesting. Second time I've heard her. Very exciting and big crowd. Niagara Falls Schools in Bloom had their recognition of excellence ceremony at the School of Horticulture, and that was emceed by Councillors Pietrangelo, Strange, and also attended by Councillor Campbell. That was yesterday. We'd like to thank the following councilors for representing City Council at the different events. Councillor Campbell for representing the city at the Niagara Concerts, Jarvis Church, Sir Adam Beck Pump Generating Station Reservoir Refurbishment Tour, and the Czech Republic Delegation. Councillor Strange for representing the city at the Ride of Silence, the Blue Water Day celebration at Heartland Forest, Save International and Value Analysis Canada Conference, the 5th Annual Clubhouse Conference at the Oak Centre, and the David McGregory McKinnon Golf Tournament. So I'd like to thank Councillor Morocco for representing the city at the Art Gallery opening of Thunder Gallery, Councillor Iannone for representing the city at the Pride Niagara Flag Raising, which is half-mast, by the way, right now after the sad event that took place in Orlando. And Councillor Thompson was also at the Pride Niagara Flag Raising. You couldn't miss it in the picture if you saw the Facebook pictures. It was a good picture. Councillor Crater representing the city at the Qingming Festival ceremony. And Councillor Peter Angelo representing the city at the Niagara Shrine Club Ramsey's Spring Ceremonial Dinner. So thank you to all councillor members for representing myself, because I can't be at all places all times. As much as you try, sometimes we'll have 3 and 4 events a night. So thank you to all the council for being there. And did I miss something? Yes. Councillor Iannone.
Yes.
That wasn't in my notes here. Sorry. Why don't you say that one?
Just extend condolences to Wayne Gates and his wife Rita. Rita's father passed away.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that.
Mr. DeLuca passed away today, so if we can extend our condolences to them also.
We'll definitely do that. We knew he wasn't well, so sorry to hear that for our MPP Gates on the loss of his father-in-law, Mr. DeLuca. And what was the other event, Councillor Thompson, I missed?
The Niagara Peninsula Energy Rodeo, they have the competition with the electric linemen.
Oh, okay. So Niagara Peninsula Energy Rodeo event that took place with all the linesmen. So that's great. Another event that we had. Thank you for that. Now, one thing I would mention, the CAO and myself this past weekend, we were busy participating in the Enbridge Ride to Conquer Cancer. We've been using excuses every year when Steve Cohen of Solid Steel asked us to do it. The one year Ken said he had to read the paper. The one year I had to condition my hair. We had all these big excuses. Well, this year he was not accepting of any excuses, and we accepted the challenge. And I have to tell you, we rode, I think it was around 230 kilometers. Saturday, they were hard kilometers. It was 35 degrees plus humidity. So with the humidex, I don't know what it was, but it was deadly. And as well, I created a new term called the Windex because it was so windy. At points we were pedaling, I don't think we were going anywhere. We were barely able to balance. But between the heat and the humidity and the fact that we never really had the best bikes, we're riding, kind of mountain bike hybrids. They're not exactly the best bikes. The CAO's got a big banana seat and a basket on the front, and I was a bit embarrassed, but that's okay. It's his bike, And so anyway, we rode these monsters, and the term that we heard over and over and over was on your left. That's what people say when they pass you. They say on your left. So by the end, we're getting a little bit irritable. People always saying on your left. We're, we know. You don't have to say it. So, but then I'll tell you this: we did, and he's a beast. I give the guy credit. The guy's in great shape. He was hitting those hills in Effingham, Fawn Hill area. He hit them pretty hard, and he was a machine. I give the guy credit. He's in great shape. But toward the end, the heat was getting to us. I think by the 115th kilometer, we had enough, but we made it. And there was no sweeter sound than the sound of the beer can opening as it came out of the ice water, steam whistle sponsored, and that sound was amazing. And we were fantasizing about it. Now, mind you, we were the only ones there at the time because everyone had already gone home. The lights were out. But we made it with our minor lights on the front. And I'll say, and the only reason we were able to pull it off was thanks to, it's known as butt butter, and it's like a lubrication. I think Councillor Peter Angelo, you use something called Glide, I think you said? I think when you and Councillor Strange go for your runs together, Glide? Yeah, so anyway, and it keeps you from getting sores from riding and the repetition and the chafing, and it was very, but I will say, on the Sunday, it was a nice day, the weather was much better, and we survived. So the nice thing, I do want to say 2 things. Number 1, this is the biggest cycling ride in Canada. It's all to raise money for Princess Margaret and cancer research, and there's so many people there telling their stories that, 20 years ago, they'd have been dead, and today they're able to see their kids, their grandkids, because of research from events like this. They raised more than $17 million. Pardon me? And they ride, the survivors ride in it as well. There are more than 4,200 riders. And in addition to that, we're on the team, Steve Cohen's team, known as Steve's Cycle Paths. And our team, with the leadership of Steve Cohen, a Niagara Falls boy, is the #1 team in the country. We just cracked just over $1 million, Steve Cohen. So how about a big for Steve Cohen? So I don't know, Mr. CAO, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I just have to point out one other thing. I mean, every time we took a break, we'd go and we'd have our Gatorade and we'd reapply the butt butter. And you really liked doing that, didn't you? You just Anyway, we'll talk about that later. It was a very awkward moment. But anyway, I'm glad that we got through it. So,
Marathon gives it out when you sign up.
Pardon me?
Marathon gives it out when you sign up.
They do give it to you too? Yeah?
Duck butter.
Duck butter. I mean, they've all got their terms. When they sold me the tube, $30, I thought they were joking, You'll need this. I said, what kind of race is this? I said, it's not a race, it's a ride. We kept telling ourselves, as people said on the left, we kept going, it's not a race, it's a ride, right?
How many jars did you buy?
What's that? Yes, what's that? Yeah, I got to say, I'm sorry, what was that, Counselor?
How many jars did you buy?
Just one, big tube. It was a tube, not a jar. So, but I will say this, once we figured this thing out a little bit, and the weather was a little bit better on the Sunday, we got to say it to a few people. We passed and we're like, on your left? And we rode by and we're like, let's do it again. On your left? So we were really getting a kick out of finally getting to say it to some other people. So anyway, our CAO, great shape. So what's coming up? Rotary Rib Fest, June 17th through 19th, taking place at Niagara Square. Go to NiagaraFallsRibFest.com for all the details. Grand opening of U-Haul Moving and Storage on Kent Avenue takes place this Saturday, June the 18th at 11 a.m. Local Authors Day takes place at the library on Victoria Avenue this Saturday from 12 until 3. Therapeutic Community Living fundraising event takes place this Saturday at 7 p.m. at Club Italia. The 62nd annual Rose and Flower Show takes place next Tuesday, a week today, at the Niagara Falls Public Library in the LaMarche Room. The grand opening of Paul's Restorations takes place on Don Murray Street Wednesday, June the 22nd at 1 p.m. Hospice Niagara's Swing Hard to Live Strong Golf Tournament takes place at Thundering Waters next Friday, June the 24th. Canada Day, the 5K run or walk for St. John's Ambulance takes place at 9 a.m. at Oaks Park on Canada Day. The parade itself begins at 11 o'clock a.m. There'll be entertainment, birthday cake, kids fun zone, good citizenship awards, and live music all day long right out front of City Hall and throughout the downtown. Go to niagarafalls.ca if you'd like any details. And in conclusion, I'd like to mention two things. First, the next council meeting will be Tuesday, July the 12th. So that'll be in 4 weeks as we go into summer schedule. And also I'd like to acknowledge our CAO, Ken Todd, at the CAMA Awards, which is the CAOs across Canada that meet just before the FCM, all the mayors and councillors and reeves meet. And he was given the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators acknowledgement and commitment that Ken Todd has been recognized for his 30 years of municipal service in a management capacity and presented with his 30-year pin and at the Long Service Awards in Winnipeg at the annual CAMA conference. So congratulations to our CAO. It's kind of embarrassing. He kept wearing it in our bike ride, and he kept shining it up, and he just kept shining it, the reflection in my eyes, like he really wanted me to know, that he. What's that?
It's not the name for that award.
What's that award?
The oldest guy here.
The oldest guy here. Yeah. I'm kidding. The guy tell you how humble this guy is. He didn't even tell me about it. I had to hear about it through the grapevine because he wouldn't be the guy to tell us. So that's the kind of CAO we have. So let's move on to communications and comments of the city clerk. And why don't we'll do one at a time. First one is the Clifton Hill BIA, Downtown Board of Management, Lundy's Lane BIA, and the Main and Ferry BIAs requesting approval of their respective budgets. Okay, moved by Councillor Carriot, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any discussion on their budgets? Call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you unanimously. I would now call up Mr. Tamsu Barker. He wishes to speak to the SCVFA request for the relief of the noise bylaw in Communication 2. So we'll call him up if he'd like to address council.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I live at 6855 Christine Court. The back of my house is backing onto Dorchester. On the other side, up the hill, is the grandstand where the activities take place. I've been living there for 11 years, and things have gotten worse in the last 4 or 5 years. About 2 years ago, Mr. Clerk, with one of his associates, came to my property just to see how close we were to where the music plays. And then he told me his recommendation, I believe it was 2 years ago, to the council was to give permission from 7 to 9:30. Up until then, permission was being given for the music to be played from 7 to 10. In its wisdom, the council, instead of taking the recommendation of Mr. Clerk to give permission from 7 to 9:30, extended 10 to 10:30. And then the president of the Fireman's Park at an interview said, well, we hardly go past 9:30 when it's dark. Well, if they don't go past 9:30, why extend it to 3.5 hours? By the way, they have never on a Tuesday or Thursday started playing at 7. There is always arrangements, individual musicians playing with their instruments as early as 6:30. This entire thing about the issue, Tuesdays and Thursdays, has to be taken within the larger context. Last Sunday, our neighborhood, not just me, the entire neighborhood, had to listen to some type of activity with a lot of cars that started at 9 o'clock, actually at 8:30, lasted until 6 o'clock. The problem is not so much the noise, it's the bass sound that goes through anything. And at times, it mimics your own heartbeat. Now, that's one activity. There is 3 days of something coming up in terms of activities. I can understand that. What I don't understand is they are going to have a soapbox derby, and they are in need of closing the door, closing the road. That's fine too. But we received for the second year in a row, not from the city, but from the people who manage the park, a notice. By the way, I think we should receive that notice from the city. One of my colleagues' neighbors said, can we close the road and send a notice because we live on the city? I think it's inappropriate for the people who manage the park to be sending us notices, because it sends the message to a lot of people at Calagiro that they are empowered to do that and anything else they want. That power should be taken away from them. I see no reason for that specific activity to start at 7 o'clock in the morning. They are going to have a race at 9. I see no compelling reason. Last year there were only 3 cars. For it to start at 9. The bylaws about 9 o'clock have been passed in the past for good reason. And I haven't heard anything for the second year in a row why the road has to be closed at 7. Closing the road at 7 is not the problem. It's the pickup trucks and other things that arrive there to close the road and put up the hay bales, whatever, at 7 o'clock. I think that's too early. And then we have a series of, in addition to music on Tuesdays and Thursdays, activities. One of them is a whole day activity with over 300 Beatles all over the place, running up and down Dorchester. with all kinds of very nice and not so nice people out there. I'm a university professor. I understand balancing our rights as residents at Calagiro versus the enjoyment of the public. But there has to be, of all the activities that take place over there, all day Sunday activities, every Tuesday and Thursday for about 8 or 9 weeks, plus other things that are going on, either limit the total number of hours or Tuesday, Thursday, at least, please give us a break. 2.5 hours is pretty much the length of most good movies and most good concerts. Why must it be 3.5 hours? About 2 years ago, the council, it should be in its minutes, used the word, we ask these people to find ways of mitigating noise. I would very much like to find out, Your Worship, what has been done to mitigate the noise. Again, I emphasize the fact that it's not the noise, it's the bass that goes through everything. Your drywall shakes. You can really feel your body shaking with the bass. And finally, some of you sitting here may think it's one person in an area that's complaining about it. That is not the case. About 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, when the council was going to build a sidewalk, you sent something to people within 200 feet of the sidewalk along Dorchester saying, do you want it or not? Before anyone reaches the conclusion that I or 2 of my friends are the only ones who are complaining about the noise, I suggest you go out there, send something similar to what you did previously, and really confirm that 2 or 3 of us are the only ones who are complaining about it. With respect, some of the people have been complaining about this for years. You may check the tax roll and you can deduce that some people culturally, because they aren't familiar with the Canadian environment, based on their cultural background or deficiency in terms of speaking the language, are not prepared to sign anything or appear here. And some time ago, I think it was 3 years ago, I sent a memo here, and 2 of my colleagues were in attendance, and one of the local newspapers had an ongoing commentary where some of those people who oppose us use comments like, go back to where you came from, and other comments. That is intimidation. And that is another reason why some of the people don't show up here. So I'm asking that either you put a limit on the total number of hours, or reduce the frequency, or please, 7, assuming they start at 7, they never will, because they have to really
We have expenses, and if we don't have events out there, then we can't pay for these things, and we can't offer the community what we offer them if we're and we'll go from there.
Okay, that sounds like some reasonable comment. Do we have any questions of council for Mr. Brockwell?
Did it happen?
You know, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. I mean, a lot of events go on, and I go to all the monthly meetings, so I don't know where this. I'm sure it happened. I'm not denying that, but I don't know what it is, or when it happened, or what it involves, or who was involved, or who even organized it. We don't organize a lot of the events. For instance, when we have the car shows, people come in and bring their cars in, and they organize the whole event. They just pay us a price to have that event on the property. So that could have been something that everybody in the club has a different responsibility. So that was definitely someone else's responsibility. Again, I could find out about that and get back to you on that, and we could try to resolve that matter as well. But we're not in any way trying to cause problems for anybody in the community. That's for sure.
No, and I think it's clear that the community is very appreciative and supportive of what you people do.
Yeah.
Same time, as Mr. Barker said, balancing off the peaceful enjoyment of your own property. And I understand what he means about the base, because that'll resonate through everything.
Oh, sure. You don't think about that. I mean, that's as far as when I go to see a group, I love the bass the best, actually. I was probably the one telling them to turn the bass up when I should have been telling them to turn the bass down, so that could have been my problem.
That's part of the problem.
That's part of the problem, yeah. Brockville's at it again.
Yeah.
Can I just mention one other thing?
Of course.
In all your announcements, you failed to mention that we're having, the SCVFA is having their annual carnival.
23rd to the 26th?
The 23rd to the 26th at your Fireman's Park.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So we'll go ahead and do the commercial. And
I just want to welcome everybody to come out to our annual carnival. It's now not on the green this year. We're going to try again out at the Fireman's Park. It's Thursday. We're starting on a Thursday this year. Thursday, June 23rd. We'll start at 5 o'clock and go till 11. The same for Friday. And then we're going to try Saturday and Sunday this year. So please come out and wish us well and come out and
I understand you're going to be adding adding some new features this year.
There's going to be some new features. We're working on it. That we don't really know how well it's going to go, because in the past I was the first person that had the carnival out there years ago, and it didn't go too well. But we're working on it, and it's a thing in progress, even though we've been doing it for 80 plus years.
We understand that. Well, we understand there's going to be some arts, crafts, dunk.
Arts, crafts, dunk. Yeah, the dunk tank for the mayor himself.
Stop pointing at the flag.
Yeah.
But if we don't have, so the carnival, so everyone knows, has been moved now from Stanford Green. It's going to be moved to the park itself, which they tried a number of years ago. But this year, food trucks and all these other things are supposed to make it a lot more enhanced, a lot more fun. Crafts, artisans, and things like that to make it.
And the building is beautiful. Come out and see it. If you haven't seen it already, come out and see the new building. It's beautiful.
It is.
Thank you very much.
It is. So ladies and gentlemen, so we've got a situation here. It's obvious, and I've known Mr. Brockville for a long time. He's a retired school teacher, high school teacher, and
next year.
Almost.
One more year.
Okay,
One more
I
year.
thought he was already retired. He looked
Yeah.
casual tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm looking old and frail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do believe that he will make contact with Mr. Barker, hopefully exchange phone numbers, and he can visit him, Christine, and actually have that discussion, especially around the base. I
We
think
will
that's-
definitely get that resolved.
We will, and I think so, and I think we can stay in touch on that because it's important that everybody is pleased. I always say, we're not all going to get everything we want, but as long as we all get some of what we want, we're in a better place, and we go from there. So we do have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brockwell. So we do have a recommendation for the consideration of council regarding the relief from the noise bylaw, and what they're specifically asking for is two things, and then council can decide what they want to do. The first is in regard to the noise bylaw of 9 p.m., moving that to 10:30 for the summer blues in the parks, and then of course adding on the carnival, which will be taking place 23rd to the 26th as well, because there'll be noise there. Not bands so much, but there'll be noise until 11. So it's mostly the Tuesdays and the Thursdays for the weeks of the summer. So they're asking for it to go from 9 to 10:30, and that's what they're asking for. We've heard the discussion, the cooperation that we expect to take place, especially around the base. So now we're looking for a motion of council. Councilor Morocco.
Move the recommendation based on the fact that they will take a look at the base.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
second that, Your Worship. And I just wanted to mention as well that I can appreciate Mr. Barker's concerns. I think the consideration of the base being too loud has been noted. It's nice that Mr. Brockwell is here, and even if there is an event such as a base-off going on, perhaps you can take that back to the membership, and should that event come along, they can just kindly say no to that one, because it would provide too much, disturbance for the neighbors. But other than that, hopefully he will be in touch with Mr. Barker and things will improve, but I'd be happy to support your request.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Carrio?
Could we have that in the motion?
Okay.
Could we have that in the motion, that leave it up to them to get together and try to make the neighbors happy?
So Councilor Morocco, you're agreeable to that friendly amendment to the motion that the two get together and have that
Most
discussion?
definitely. Yep.
Okay. And as Councilor Pietrangelo suggests, maybe it's in part of their contract rules when you're renting the park that certain things, have to go through your filter process, right? So, okay, is there any other discussion to that motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. And hopefully you guys can exchange numbers, and we'll have some progress on that. So thank you both, Mr. Brockwell and Mr. Barker. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Was that on the same issue? No. Oh, okay. Well, we're not right now. We have an agenda, ma'am, that we have to follow. Okay. Okay. Next item. Okay. The museum? Oh yeah. Item 2, on the museum part. I'm sorry. We're also being asked for relief of the noise bylaw for the Niagara Falls Museum for the first Friday of every. Yes, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. Item 3, peace flags in the wind, requesting approval of a proclamation for June 19th to June 24th. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Carrio. All those in favor? And that's approved. City of Pickering requesting the Ministry of Child and Youth Services reinstate adequate funding for children in need of IBI therapy. Moved by Councillor Morocco, seconded by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Stand Up Kids for Autism requesting free use of a baseball diamond for a fundraising event. Moved by Councillor Morocco, seconded by Councillor Crater. Oh, did you want to speak to that, Councillor Pietrangelo?
I did, Your Worship. I was wondering if we could refer the lady who contacted us, Jennifer Taylor, just simply over to staff to organize when they want to have the event. I think everyone here understands. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, in your additions, there's been some modification. I think originally she was looking at a certain date, and subsequently she's had a meeting with Rob McDonald, so they are requesting Patrick Cummings, and it's in your additions. There's a specific date related to that, and also a specific cost. So it's.
Did anybody get additions?
Yeah, they were handed out.
Yeah, they were handed out in camera. I didn't give you folders. So it would be for.
Yeah, we had.
She did.
I'm looking at my room. Everyone's shaking their head.
I got mine.
So it'll be August 14th, Patrick Cummings, and what the fee would be $651.92.
The clerk at the time was Frank Dark.
Oh. Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you for that. Regional Municipality of Niagara requesting the Niagara Bridges expand customs pre-clearance locations. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Crater. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Regional Municipality of Niagara requesting the province increase funding for research aimed to help enhance testing of Lyme disease. Moved by Councillor Strange, seconded by Councillor Carrio. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. City of St. Catharines requesting support of a resolution calling on the federal government to expedite recognition of Gord Downey for the Order of Canada. Moved by Councillor Strange, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, approved. The Enbridge Ride to Conquer Cancer, requesting a grant equal to the building permit fee for a tent associated with their event. What's that? Moved by Councillor Carrio, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. The Greater Niagara Circle Trek Committee requesting the appointments of Curtis Thompson, Park in the City Committee member to the Regional Committee. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? That's approved. A Canadian Gardens Council requesting that June 17th be proclaimed as Garden Day. Moved by Councillor Morocco, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? That's approved. Any additional items for council's consideration, Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, Your Worship, not that you read them, but there's actually 3 communications. I'll go through them individually. One's the annual request from the National Congress of Italian Canadians. They do a event and a flag raising, so it's a request for a flag raising on June 24th.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you.
Request from Celebrate Old Downtown requesting a grant equal to fees associated with road closures. It's for 2 specific events that are outlined. One is actually the what do you call it? Not the Woodstock, the livestock event, and another event that they're having at the end of the month. Also waiving related business license fees for the first event, which is called Rock and Swap, Queen Street Art Crawl. It's scheduled for maybe this weekend.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Morocco, second by Councillor Iannoni. All those in favor? Okay, supporting our downtown.
Finally, there's a last-minute correspondence. It's from a law firm, Herman & Herman. It's related to an employment exemption through Service Canada. Changing the recommendation, I'd recommend that you send it off to Niagara Falls Tourism.
Well, I was going to suggest that, but I think it's been vetted by the solicitor. It doesn't affect anybody's employment. It's controlled by the federal government. It's like the agricultural industry where they can't get the people, enough people to work, and this gives the opportunity where circumstances meet the requirements of the federal government that they can have temporary workers fill some positions at the low end. So I would just move the resolution.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Thompson. Looking for a seconder on that. Seconded by Councillor Carrio. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Any others, Mr. Clerk?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, so we're at the consent agenda. Okay, motion by Councillor Iannoni, second by Councillor Carrio to move the...
Quick question, Worship,
Okay, moved second by Councillor Pietrangelo to move the consent agenda. You got a question, Councillor Carrio?
Yes, Your Worship, on TS 2016-26. It's a little bit ambiguous. Number 2, the downtown BI contributes $26,000 to offset the expense of the parking budget. And then they say, well, 13,000 of it is coming from the CIP fund. So it's just a little confusing. Is that?
That's the last one? The very last one?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The last one, yeah. I just wonder, is that CIP fund? That's the tax fund. That's our fund.
Yes.
Not the BIA.
community
Because it says
improvement.
that the downtown BIA contributes $26,000 to offset the expense. Then they go on to explain $13,000 of the $26,000 doesn't come from the BIA, it comes from the taxpayers.
Right, the taxpayer that put that fund for the downtown.
Right, and if it's not needed in the downtown, we could reallocate that money to be used somewhere
Good.
else. So I just want to make sure that we understand that that's not coming from the BIA fund.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, it's coming from the city, you're right.
Yep.
Any other discussion items on any consent agenda items? Okay, seeing none, then we do have a motion to move the rest of the consent agenda. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you. Now, resolutions, we have 2 resolutions here. Was there one extra one, Mr. Clerk, or no? No, okay. So first resolution, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Niagara Falls authorize the application submitted by city staff for Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Intake 2 funding for the Sylvia Marketplace. And the second, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Niagara Falls authorize the application submitted by city staff for Parks Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Intake 2 funding for the Chippewa Lions Park. Moved by Councillor Morocco, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any discussion around those 2 resolutions? Call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Mr. Clerk, ratification of in-camera items.
Yes, Your Worship, 2 items. Just going to get the recommendation. Number 1, that subject to the completion of due diligence, the city accept the assignment of a lease of the Center Court Cafe from 1624609 Ontario Inc. to Tavis Allen Limited. And number 2 is related to a piece of property in the Montrose Business Park, that council accept the offer of Ahmad Khan in trust for a company to be incorporated to purchase lands in the Montrose Business Park at a price of $33,000 an acre, and that the mayor, clerk, and city solicitor be authorized to take whatever actions and sign whatever documents are required to complete the transaction.
Okay, looking for a motion to accept the in-camera items. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you for that. Now we're on to bylaws. Mr. Clerk, any additional bylaws or amendments for council's consideration? Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Morocco, that the bylaws be given a first reading. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous.
Bylaws 2016-51 to 2016-63 read a first time.
Motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Crater, that the bylaws be given a second and third reading. All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Bylaws 2016-51 to 2016-63 read a second and third time and passed.
New business. Do we have any new business? Councillor Morocco and Iannoni.
I just would like to point out and just thank a number of the Arts and Culture Committee that did attend the opening of the Thunder Gallery opening. I have to say I was quite impressed by the artwork that was on display from local artists throughout the region. So when you talk about the diamond, and this is the city of the diamond, we do have a lot of talent, just not in the music industry, but also in the arts. So I just wanted to say that there was a number of people there in attendance from the Arts and Culture, Laura the Coco, and I think they're also looking at another Niagara artist showcase that's going to happen through Canada Day as well. Christine has also had some of her photos on display that are extremely beautiful photos of the Niagara Falls and area. I think that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to say congratulations to them and to welcome the talent that comes in and out, moves around throughout. I'd also like to send off a letter on behalf of the city to our new Minister of Tourism, Eleanor McMahon. I think that would be great. And also another close friend is Catherine McGarry, who is now the Minister of Natural Resources. I know there's a number of new ministers that are now in place, so I think it's just nice that we just acknowledge them.
Who's the second one you said?
It's Catherine McGarry is the Minister of Natural Resources, and Eleanor McMahon is our new Minister of Tourism.
Okay, no, that's great. So we'll send congratulatory
Well, maybe
salutations.
let's make it just to all the new ministers, if that was something, because there's a number of new ministers. I didn't want to name them off, just those 2 that I recognize.
No, that's a great idea. So we'll make that motion. We'll send them right out from our office. It's a great idea. All the announcements were yesterday, right? So there's a lot of shifting and new ministers. Good to see, though, that Minister of Finance would remain the same and Minister of Transportation
Yes.
and Health Yeah, some key ones for our community, so I'm glad that we have some stability and continuity. Councillor Ioannoni.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the last meeting, I asked for, and we had a motion passed for a report on the soccer field usage. Do we have any idea when that's coming back?
Do we have, yeah, she's not here.
Well, the motion was actually to get the stakeholders together for a meeting.
That hasn't been done.
Yeah.
So that was a month. So can we find out when that's happening?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing from a number of them, and they watched us pass that night. They were happy, but they haven't been contacted yet in regards to meet. I have a number of items. The second item is, maybe 8 weeks ago, there was a resident that committed suicide jumping off the overpass of our hydro canal on Drummond Road. Right near Gales Gas Bar, right beside Lions Park. That's not the first time that's happened. I had a number of calls from residents in behind there who said, is there any opportunity that, you know, when you drive in the highways in New York State, you can see their overpasses have the fencing.
Yeah. Don Valley has that too.
Yeah, it is not attractive, but that's precious moments if somebody's scaling that fence to get over, that somebody driving past in a car would have an opportunity to perhaps stop them. So I'm not sure, are we in control of that, or where could somebody...
Or OPG. I don't know who that
Are
would be.
we in control of the overpass, of the bridge? Are we responsible? Would we be putting the fencing up? Do we have to ask OPG if we could put fencing up? I don't even know how to start that process. Yes, I'd like a report back from staff maybe explaining how we can do that.
Yeah, over the canal.
Yeah, they had mental health issues, and the gentleman said to me, you know, those moments where somebody could have stopped their car and pulled them down from the fence are very precious.
Well, they did the same thing, the Don Valley, same thing, they put the fencing because they were jumping down onto the roadway. So we've got a motion by Councillor Ioannoni, second by Councillor Strange, that we have a staff report to find out who's responsible and what needs to happen for fencing to go over these overpasses over the Hydro Canal, specifically the one on Drummond Road. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you. The last council meeting, we also discussed in regards to having the swing set expanded in the Fernwood subdivision behind Redpath. I have a petition from the resident. They didn't like the answers here. It is not fast enough. I understand that. Summer is going through. I have a petition I will be submitting to the clerk from all the residents behind in Redpath. And they just like council to know that they're really not happy with the delay. So.
Yep. And I know that Councillor Pietrangelo pointed out that park that's so isolated that they can't go to another neighborhood park. It's there, you got to drive somewhere. So
well, we've all
had
our kids have to wait their turn. When you have kids lined up, it's a little bit
difficult. Oh yeah, definitely would be, yeah.
The other question was in regards to our burning bylaw. What exactly did we approve that night? Because I have residents who are very confused over we committed to the 1972 bylaw, or did we change it and expand the burning time to 11 o'clock?
Maybe ask Mr. Beeman.
And then I have one more.
Mr. Beeman to help us on that one.
And distances, please.
Council approved was the status quo. The status quo consisted of the fire code as it existed of the fire code provisions that relate to cooking outdoors. That is what is currently being enforced.
So what time is that?
There is no specific time in the fire code. What the times that we are using, the time is entered into the guidelines that the fire chief has put on the website, and they relate to the nuisance provisions of the bylaw, because it was also provided in the direction of staff that we added a nuisance provision to the bylaw. The best estimate we have of what we can regularly get a conviction for if somebody wouldn't put a fire out at a particular time is 11 o'clock. So that's what we're using as a guideline to tell people, put your fire out by 11 o'clock. That is what was in place. There was references to what's been in place for 40 years and has always worked. That's what was in place for 40 years and apparently was fine.
Okay, thank you. And the distance?
And there's no specific distance in the fire code. So then it's a matter.
They've been recommending 15 meters though,
Yeah,
right?
they're recommending 15 meters. Again, that's a guide from the chief because on a fire safety basis. And that's the determination he's made. based upon his experience as a fire chief.
It's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Now, having said that, that is not set out anywhere, that is strictly a guideline.
In our bylaw? In the 1972 bylaw?
The 1972 bylaw is not what is being enforced. That is not what was being enforced at the time all of this controversy started, and staff were directed to return to the status quo. The status quo was that the bylaw was being held to be overruled by the fire code when it came to a cooking fire. The fire code does not specify distances. The fire code does not specify times. That is why we have the hot dog exemption. When you cook, you fall within the fire code under the regime that was in place at the time all this controversy started.
Okay.
Any other?
No, they asked the questions, and I'm sure we're going to get the emails. They're probably coming in now.
Oh, yeah.
So, and my last question is, and I'm sorry to go back to this, I should have asked it then, in regard to the FedDev grant, and Mr. Todd said that it was Ryerson. Do we have a copy of that application?
I don't know if we would, because they applied.
Well,
I don't know.
Then let's go back to that evening, because I objected. That's probably one of the most heated in-camera discussions I had been involved in. We approved, and I'm going to ask for a copy of that motion that evening. We approved, if I'm not mistaken, up to $10 million or $10 million to partner with this grant. So we would have to have an application for that. We would have to have a copy of that, or we wouldn't have committed money to it. I voted against it, but we wouldn't have committed money to it. We know I asked for the grant application that night, and I was told no. I was told I wouldn't be told who the applicant was. So I learned more tonight in the first 2 minutes I asked questions in open council than I did in an in-camera session where it didn't belong. So I'm going to ask again, do we have a copy of that application? Because tomorrow morning I'm going to be on the phone to FedDev. I'd like to see it. If we committed money, and we did, to this application, do we have a copy of it?
Yeah, well, we can get you an answer, but I think you've already called FedDev before. They're not going to give...
No, FedDev asked me, I asked if the city, can I have the application with the City of Niagara Falls as a partner? I was asked who was the main applicant, and as a city councillor, I said to them, I'm sorry, I don't know, they wouldn't tell me. Tomorrow, I'll be telling them Ryerson is the applicant. We've talked about it in camera since, we have that on tape, we've talked about it out here since. I'm asking, as a councillor, who objected to a $10 million investment into an application that we were told nothing about, can I have a copy of the application?
Yeah, it's not, you were told a lot about it. You just didn't know the name of the applicant. That's
No,
all.
I asked who the applicant was. I can bring my own notes. I didn't know we were getting into this discussion tonight. I was denied every question I asked. Every single solitary one. All of us were in the room. Everybody watched it. So I'm asking now, can I have a copy of that application?
We'll ask the CAO to comment.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think, first of all, as I've indicated, it's not our application. It's not our application to release.
We committed money to it.
We are a partner. We're not part of the application. I think in fairness to Ryerson, if that application is to be released, we'd need to get their permission to release it. So we can certainly check with them if they would like us to have that application circulated in the public realm. But I think it's up to them. It's their application.
So we are a partner with $10 million on an application that we were told nothing about that evening other than trust you.
Well, I don't think that's...
that is so true, Mr.
Well, I
Todd.
don't think it is, Councillor. It is not true, because we did...
Did I ask you for who
Let
the
him
applicant
answer the
was?
question, Councillor, please.
Councillor, that evening, we provided as much detail as we could provide you that evening.
In
At that
camera
point-
where we were told not to be.
Councillor, at that time, the applicant did not want it known who the applicant was. We honored their wishes. We had indicated all of the details that we could provide to you that night as to what was going on. The only thing that you didn't get that night was the name of the applicant.
Mr.
And
Todd.
who the institution was.
We were told that there were 3 partners. We were not given the name of the other 2 partners. You asked council to support the spending of $10 million, and they did. We did not rise and report. That was the argument we had in the back room. We were told that it was not an in-camera item. That was also the argument we had in the back room. I have learned more from people on Queen Street than I learned in City Hall the night I asked the questions. So I will call FedDev tomorrow if you won't. I can't imagine that we are a partner to something we don't have a copy to, but thank you. I'll go through the FedDev and I will get that information.
Well, good luck with that, Councillor. I wish you all the best.
Well,
in
there was
getting
no
that.
luck in the back room getting information
Councillor,
either,
if I
so
may,
okay.
we told you and all the rest of the council that we would be back to you when we had details on whether the application was approved. And at that point, you as a council had the opportunity to get full details on the approval. And at that point, if you wanted to change your mind on the application, you could. And we have not been in a position to report back to you simply because the application has not been approved. And that's what was told to you that night. I don't know where you're getting that we didn't fill you in on this information, but that's that's what was told to you that night. And the reason we haven't been back is because, as you've been asking over the last number of months, the application has not been approved. We have nothing to report back to you on.
Did we approve $10 million?
You approved a commitment in principle to enter into this.
There was
and
no in principle in that, but we'll get a copy of that motion.
Councillor, it was told that we would report back to you, and if council at that point wanted to change their mind, at that point they could back out of that application. And we didn't have the details to provide you that night because the application had not been approved.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into what's true and what's not. I'll contact FedDev tomorrow. And he says, good luck. If we're a partner to something and an application that we don't have a copy of, there's bigger problems around here.
But Councillor, we're not the applicant. And the applicant is the one that controls the process. If we're going to release that document to members of the public, in my opinion, we need to get the approval of the applicant, and we're not the applicant.
Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, Your Worship, I think it's important for maybe others to clarify what we understood from that meeting. I know in the meeting, the question was asked a couple of times to Mr. Todd, actually, are we actually making the commitment to spend $10 million? And the answer that came back was no. You're making a commitment that should a post-secondary institution come here, you might have to spend up to that amount, provided that you agree with the terms that we come to with the partner. And that was my understanding, Your Worship. So to say openly that we've committed to spend $10 million, I think a number of us around the table understood that we need to see the term sheet with the partner before we actually commit to spend the money. That's my understanding. That was my understanding then. It's my understanding today, Your Worship.
And that is exactly the way the CEO explained it. That is the understanding. That's how I understood it too. Councillor Ioannoni.
Thank you. Actually, Councillor Pietrangelo was the one who asked Mr. Todd, and Mr. Todd's question was yes, no, in the span of 3 seconds. And Councillor Pietrangelo's answer was, well, which is it? You've given us 2 answers in the span of 5 seconds.
That's right.
We don't know what we committed to. We were given no information that night. And my question that night was, if the FedDev application is approved and we've committed as a $10 million partner and we pull out, have we acted in bad faith? Or are we committed to that $10 million because we don't even know what you submitted in that application?
We didn't put an application. It was the university.
We don't know what information was given to Ryerson in regard to what we committed or what we didn't. I'm assuming it will be in Ryerson's application as supporting documents. Did we give them supporting documents for their application?
I think we'll explain it again. We have the option to not do this.
That's not what I asked. Did we give them supporting documents?
We give them a copy of the resolution that this council made, yes.
Okay, so then I'll bring that copy the next time we come to council because I have it all written down, but the clerk has emailed it to us again, and I'll bring that conversation back.
Yeah, and just to remind you, Councillor, you may have something written down that you wrote down, but that came from I'm still talking.
Yeah,
that
go
came
ahead.
from an in-camera meeting And that is not public information. So if you want to bring that back, do it in an in-camera meeting.
I will
'Cause
not,
we're-
because our clerk told us in camera that night it didn't belong in camera.
Well, why don't we get a legal opinion and we'll find out from our solicitor what is and what isn't. We won't play lawyer.
Yeah, but we generally use our clerk for that unless it's convenient for us.
No, that's not true.
That
If
is
it's to do with the law, we deal with our solicitor.
Oh, yeah.
Our clerk has a law degree but isn't a lawyer.
Yeah.
So we deal with our solicitor.
Yep.
So we want to make sure we don't break any laws or any rules of the municipal
Because
act.
we've never been found to go in camera improperly.
Yeah, just for clarification, I drafted the resolution to go in camera on the basis of
It wasn't that
possible
discussion.
property acquisition on that matter. Okay? A discussion or a question was asked about spending of money, i.e. spending of the public purse, and I made the comment that spending of the public purse is usually approved in council, which isn't contrary to what was just mentioned about the $10 million, that it would have to come forward at a later date for council to approve it in open council. So that was the context.
Thank you. And I look forward to council tonight, the response from the clerk when I emailed him and said, when you ratified that FedDev resolution that night, did you commit council to the resolution, that the vote that was passed in camera? And you said yes. I have that email. You said, yes, it does. I have that. It's in all my FedDev application information. So I don't know what did we approve? Did we approve the 10 million that night? Because in your email to me, you said in that ratification that didn't mention the $10 million that we were committed to. And whether I have notes or not, we then subsequently passed a motion to record in camera, which was after that. But I'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Good. Yeah, good, Mr. CAO, please.
So first of all, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify the situation that night, we had a partner, a post-secondary partner, that this council, as part of their strategic priorities, wanted us to go and find to make something happen downtown. We had a partner that was an applicant to a FedDev application that at that point in time did not want that made public because their fear if that was made public, it would completely compromise the application. We thought this was a great opportunity for the downtown. We came in camera to council to ask them for approval to move forward with the partnership with this post-secondary institution. The request was that we could spend up to $10 million on this application, but we would not be firming that up, and council would have a chance to change their mind if once that application got to the approval point and we really had to put our money on the line, that this council would have full details at that point, because we would have been out of the compromise position where if it was made public at that time, it wouldn't really matter. I'm in a position now where I'm telling you the Ryerson name tonight because, quite honestly, it's far enough along the process that having that name made public at this time doesn't really matter. At the point in time when we were having that in-camera discussion, if that information had been made public, we might as well have gone home and not even worried about the application because, in our opinion, it wouldn't even reach first base. So, we'll stand here and be criticized if you want, Councillor, over that. We were trying to make something happen downtown. We're still trying to make something happen downtown. It is not an easy road to make something happen downtown. And if you think we're trying to pull a fast one on you here, then so be it. We told Council quite clearly that we would be back asking for final approval on that $10 million before this Council committed it. And there was no sense doing it that night because if we did that out in open council or that information was known at the time, our efforts would have been lost and this application would have been dead.
Yeah, that was the spin.
Any other discussion or any other comments?
That's not it.
Yes, Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, Your Worship, I guess I feel like I have to echo the CAO's comments.
Wait. No,
Councillor
our
Pietrangelo has the
CEO
floor.
just called me a bitch.
I didn't.
Yeah, he just did.
I'm sorry, I never heard that.
Inappropriate.
I never heard that, Councillor.
Yes, he did.
Well,
Inappropriate.
I never heard that, Councillor.
Yeah, sure you did too.
I don't know, did you hear anything, Councillor?
I want to stay out of this.
Yeah, there you go.
Councillor Pietrangelo.
Your Worship, I was just going to say that I don't understand.
Councillor, do you mind? Show some respect in this chamber. We're having Councillor Pietrangelo has a sit down, please.
He called me a bitch, and you don't reprimand him.
You said that. Because you said something doesn't make it true. I did not hear that. Councillor
Are you
Pietrangelo has the
saying
floor.
I didn't hear it either?
I don't know what you heard. You told us things
Yeah,
you wrote down.
you're funny,
things
Jim.
that you recall, Councillor. But I'm sorry, we don't all recall things the same way you do.
That's not the issue. Your CAO just called me.
My CAO or our CAO?
Oh, no, it's not mine.
You didn't vote for him when we hired him?
Yes, I did.
Yes, so he's our CAO. And I don't know, Councillor, but I'll tell you something right now. There was a little bit of heated stuff going on. I don't know what was said, but I know right now, I don't know what the whole goal and this whole objective of this discussion was, because we're working to bring something.
So out of line.
I'm so out of line?
Yeah.
Our whole,
It's okay to
our whole goal, Councillor, is to bring a post-secondary education along with our strategic initiatives to our downtown. And I'm not really sure what your objective is here. We're bringing it here and you're objecting to it? Are you trying to stifle our efforts? I'm not sure what the goal is here.
Mr. Mayor, I can stand here and ask you anything.
You sure can, but
I
what's
can
your
ask-
goal?
I can ask.
What's your goal?
I don't answer to you.
I can ask you anything too.
Yes, you can, but you cannot allow your CAO to call your female counselor a bitch in council.
I never heard that, Councillor.
But I did. But we'll take care of that too, because I'm sure it was picked up, because it was nice and loud.
You have nothing more? Okay, thank you.
Yes, no.
Yes, Mr. Solicitor.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to correct something I said earlier when I was talking about the setback that in the guidelines that the fire chief, when I said 15 meters, that was a mistake. It was 15 feet. I just wanted to make
Oh, it's
sure.
15 feet.
Yeah, so we don't get even more emails on the issue. I know we're on far off the topic, but I do feel that should be corrected before the meeting closes so that I don't cause the councilors any more grief than they apparently already have.
15 feet. Okay, okay. Thank you. Any other, yes, Councillor Strange.
One more new business.
On new business, yes.
It's got two items. The first one is something we recommended earlier with the Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Program. And I just thought about it earlier. I was looking over the agenda and stuff like that. And it's a big year coming up, obviously, and next year being the 150 years of Confederation. And it's just wondering is there another program that goes, maybe Ken Thomas, through events and stuff that we can go do and ask for funding for particular events, because we're holding the 150 years and doing events, different events in Niagara Falls. I can't think of a better place. I know Ottawa is getting some funding, I believe, being the capital of Canada. But I think it's something very important. Next year it could be amazing, having a 150-year sign or something as you're entering Canada. And it's a great. It would be a great year, and I think we can really capitalize on it. I'm not sure if there's anything like that coming up, or if you know.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there has been applications out there already. We have submitted, and we were turned down for a couple of initiatives. I don't know if there's going to be other rounds of that, but at this point, we've been turned down for the applications that we've made. The 150 applications you see now are a little bit different spin. They're not for events, they're for projects or programs, but if there's any more rounds, we'll certainly apply for different programming for that.
I was just wondering, it's going to be a spectacular year, I think, all over, especially the borders towns too, as you get a lot of Americans coming in, and 150 years is.
So do you want to make a motion, maybe referring to staff to come up with some ideas around that? Maybe, through our Parks and Rec and Economic Development, maybe we can come up with something?
Yeah, because sometimes you'll get this, and maybe we might be one council meeting every month, and it might come in between, so we'd really like to jump on it if we can. It's coming up pretty quick.
And although maybe July 1st isn't the best, even though it's the birthday, because we're already busy that weekend, we already have a parade, we already have a bunch of things. Maybe some of the thing in a series of events for the year.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what Ottawa's doing. They're having, I think it's an event every month to celebrate. And that's something I think tourism can really capitalize over here, and even doing local stuff as well, and celebrating of Canada.
Yeah, no, that's good. So motion by Councillor Strange, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. We refer to staff for some ideas and suggestions around the Canada 150 celebration. Call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous.
Just a second item, and something that's the last few weeks you've seen on the news and all over the place. Especially just what happened in Orlando. We had Mrs. Trudeau was here talking about mental health, and you got to think about what's going on in Woodstock. And there's been 5 suicides in the last probably few weeks or a month, and there's been a lot of attempts as well from kids in Woodstock. And it's a community that's probably just the size of ours. So I think it really hits home, and I think it's something, we have programs. Sometimes the awareness is not out there, Stress Center Niagara, Kids Help Phone, Coast Niagara, and there's other programs that are out there. But I just go on to think of all the teenagers, what they're going through right now. It's crazy. You know what I mean? They're getting bullied, they're committing suicide, and then they're going on Facebook and telling everyone that I committed suicide. So when we were kids, if you got bullied or you got teased or whatever, you went home from school and it stopped there. It stopped. Now it's all over social media. They're texting you after. They keep bullying you while you're home as well. And it's pretty crazy. And I know in Niagara region we've had a few suicides in the last couple of years. I remember talking to Councillor Peter Angelo about running one day and not knowing how this one kid committed suicide, and he just seemed normal. He was a great athlete, great kid, an awesome girlfriend. Just like, why did he commit suicide? I don't think there's enough awareness out there, and I would hate to not be proactive on this. And if something like that happened 2 years from now, where we had 5 teenagers commit suicide, we would really regret that we didn't be proactive. I think we need to do something in our region and in our municipalities to try to help, and through our school boards. I think there has to be some kind of programs where it's in the curriculum, where you talk about that sort of stuff, whether it be bullying or the mental illness or people making fun of. People are getting made fun of now because of certain of clothing. And it's tough enough for a kid going through high school. They shouldn't have to be going through that. They should concentrate on school and their marks. And going to university, it should be the best years of their life, not the worst. And thinking about suicide. I never knew it. When you were a kid, you never knew what suicide was. You're like, suicide? Like what? You have no idea. You go home, that was it. That was the end of the bullying or whatever. Now it's all over social media. It's a way out for kids, which it's not. It's horrible. I don't like seeing it. And I don't want to be a community like Woodstock in a couple of years. So I'd really like to be proactive. I'd like to put some pressure on the regional council and other municipalities, other 12 or 11 municipalities. And I'd like to put a motion actually to request city staff and city council send a request to regional council to form a committee dedicated to teen mental health, specifically resources and awareness in our schools. And I think this committee should have one rep from each municipal council and each school board in the region, and do something very positive with this. So I think we need to start here and be a leader in our region. So if I can make a motion.
You just missed Helga's presentation. You should have grabbed her.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And then, Patty as well. But I think we could be a leader from our City of Niagara Falls City Council and put some needed pressure on the rest of municipalities and regional council to set up a committee and steer it in the right direction.
I'll second that.
Sounds good. Moved by Councillor Strange, seconded by Councillor Morocco. Any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, that's approved.
One more thing.
Councillor Morocco.
Sorry, there was one more thing I just wanted to mention. The Paramedics Chiefs of Canada had their conference in Saskatoon, and I just wanted to recognize our regional paramedic chief, Kevin Smith. It was awarded the President's Award there, so I just want to send him a congratulations from all across Canada that he was selected the President's Award.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, great. Councillor Peter Angelo.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just on the issue of parks funding, I think I forgot to bring it up last meeting, but I remember hearing about a month ago that the City of St. Catharines received some federal funding dollars to upgrade 3 parks in the City of Niagara Falls. And I do remember, I think our CAO was out at FCM last year when the applications for that same grant were put in. But I never heard that we got any money from the federal government.
Well, no? No federal funding, no?
No? So do they not, do they only give it out to specific municipalities? Or I'm just wondering, why would it be that we didn't get anything and St. Catharines did?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. That was done before though, right? The last government, those announcements? When they had, I don't know, that's a good question.
No. The announcements just came out probably about a month ago. I think it was There's 3 parks in St. Catharines that they received about $500,000 to upgrade.
If I may, we had made application. I think they had just gotten their approvals just before the last election on a couple of those. Those were part of that whole 150 funding round. Is that the ones you're talking about? Because I know St. Catharines just recently got announcements on some of the grants Councillor Strange was talking about, but that was just around the election time. We had submitted applications for that and didn't get any approvals on it. So I'm not sure if that's the ones you're referring to, but and we had no explanation as to why we didn't get the money.
Okay. The other issue I had, Your Worship, was just in regards to, it was a fundraiser recently held by Great Wolf Lodge, and it was raising money, for the car wash, and it was successful, like really successful. There was cars lined up all the way down Victoria Avenue, all the way over the bridge, past Bridge Street, past the library, past Morrison Street, past McRae, all the way into the tourist core. So successful that I think it was blocking some traffic, and I just wanted to basically ask through you, maybe to staff, if we can reach out to Great Wolf Lodge and say, listen, you got a very successful event here. Maybe we can help you in coordinating the traffic so that it doesn't kind of clog up the streets. I was thinking even of using the Gale Center parking lot, and as people show up, they can get a number, almost like when you would go to Rum and Cheese and you would get the little ticket at the deli. They can get a ticket number and they can take 10 cars at a time, and then this way the cars aren't lined up and sort of blocking traffic on the street. Just something to pass on to staff.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good idea. So, do you want a direction of staff, or through Mr. Dren maybe to maybe follow up with Great Wolf Lodge? Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Any other new business? Councillor Thompson.
Yes, I had an inquiry with respect to an out-of-town developer who was interested in a piece of property on McLeod Road, and they asked me to see if I could get some information from City Hall with respect to the property. And I got some comments back from the planning staff indicating that the region is currently undertaking a comprehensive review of the needs for residential lands, and any future changes will be subject to their findings. I found this, and so did the people who were interested, very concerning. Are you aware of this kind of discussion taking place at the region? I know there was something that was just postponed recently regarding regional issues with municipalities, but I would be really concerned about the region taking away our responsibility. This property is zoned, it's residential up to it, it's in the urban boundaries, it is zoned industrial, and they wanted to do a continuation of residential development. It's near Warren Woods. And they came up with this information. So I wonder if you could find out if that is contemplated by the region. And certainly I would be very much opposed to taking that responsibility away from us. And the other thing that I was sent is a circular...
I think Mr. Ilovich might have an answer on that.
A circular map with respect to the property is also being touched by the restriction by SciTech, and all of a sudden we've got viable land that could be developed that is going to be affected by this radius. Usually if you have a problem with an industry, you buy the land to give that protection, or you, I think we have to have a real dialogue and discussion. Certainly, Heartland Forest has been hugely adversely affected with their land and what's going on there. So I would like to have this on the agenda for discussion. Is it the responsibility, people are paying taxes on their property, and yet they're restricted from doing anything with it. I think we have to have a discussion.
I think you're right, and it's interesting. Someone showed me a map of that ring of protection for Bruce Nuclear, Darlington, what was the other one? And a couple other chemical companies, DuPont, and the ring was nowhere near the size of this ring. Not that goes what, 2 to 3 kilometers, I think, or the ring? 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers, and yet these other companies have nuclear plants. Have got much less. They've got residential. I mean, it seems overbearing. And you're right. Why sanitize the land? So you got to still pay property taxes, but you don't have the freedom to do what you want because of this imaginary radius.
Exactly. I think we have to have a debate. Certainly, we appreciate SciTech.
Yeah, we do.
Need the industrial jobs out there.
Yeah.
The provincial government gave a substantial grant to them for upgrading. Maybe that could have been utilized to further put safety issues under control at the place. But anyway, here we had a piece of property. Somebody wanted to acquire it and develop it, and all of these pitfalls come into it. If Mr. Hurlovich has something to say.
It's about the land?
Yes. So your worship, I believe the study that the councillor is referring to is the Municipal Comprehensive Review. This is the 10-year review that's necessary to comply with the provincial growth plan. So there's a requirement by the province that we protect employment lands. And so the region's currently studying how much employment growth will we have between now and 2031 and 2041. Those are the target years. And so at this point, they're basically saying, until we know how much land we need, we're not really going to piecemeal the land away from industrial uses, which is employment lands, to residential uses. So that's the study that's going on.
Well, there's residential property right beside it in the next piece of land. So you're going to put keep industrial land there. Maybe we could convince somebody to put up a slaughterhouse there or something. This is ridiculous. I think we have to have a real serious discussion about this and make some decisions. And if you could find out personally if they're going to have the power. Niagara Falls, how much we have industrial land here, which is far beyond what most municipalities have. Do we not?
I'd refer that one to Serge Felicetti. We do have industrial lands. Some of them are not serviced, and some of them are not in the areas that industry wants to locate.
So that's why we have to service them, if that's the case. But we have lots of industrial land, and talking about putting restrictions adjacent to other residential lands is ridiculous. Anyway, my concern, hopefully I can get some answers.
Do you want to refer this to legal maybe to pursue that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll give you the 2 pieces of correspondence.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe give me a copy of those back, please. Send them to me. Yeah.
So you want to make the motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Yeah. Okay, moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor Crater, that we forward this through our legal to look into the ring of whatever it's called, protection, ring of fire. Okay, call a vote. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
I didn't get the seconder.
The seconder was Councillor Crater. New business? Any other new business? How about a motion for adjournment? Councillor Morocco, Councillor Strange, all those in favor? We're done. Yeah. He's got to buy beer. Oh. What's
The mic's picked it at 10. People are emailing me, but thank you.